have, once upon a time, I had.
Oh, we're good. Are we live? Okay, cool. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our first ever production here on Swish Gaming of our Legacy Sunday events. And it looks like we have an Ancient Ziggurat into a Noble Hierarch here on turn one. And I'm alongside my partner here today, Jeremy Pinter.
Hello, everybody. It appears that humans and painter tags are flip-flopped. Otherwise, mono red painter playing Noble Hierarch is definitely a new invention.
It indeed is. It indeed is. And so, Jeremy, you actually have a lot of experience playing Legacy, correct? This is kind of your specialty?
I've been playing for a long time, and I would say most of what I have done is within Legacy. Especially, I've been playing a lot more online recently with the pandemic, and so, um, yeah, Painter is a deck that I have tried myself
Okay.
recently because I do some streaming, and I was really impressed with how well Painter did. Now, I ended up not playing the mono red version, so I will be interested to see what's
Yeah.
in this list.
Yep. Andrew's had some pretty good success recently with the mono red painter version.
Okay.
When we all went to Iowa for the team event that was there, he was the legacy seat on one of the Swish teams. We went with two teams.
You guys did really well.
Yeah,
right?
both teams made top four. We actually beat their team in top four.
Oh, nice
And
ribbons.
fortunately, Larry's deck was finally good. It was one of the first rounds his deck was actually playable. He was playing mono blue like Karn the Great Creator deck.
Yeah, I got some.
And Karn the Great
experience with
Creator,
that one.
Karn the Great Creator was really nice against Andrew.
Yeah,
So
nice artifact.
it was Andrew's first win on the day, or not Andrew's. It might have been Andrew's first loss on the day actually, and it was Larry's first win. But it came at the opportune time, fortunately.
All right, so I'm not quite able to read what the Painter deck has in play, but we can see from the other side,
Yes.
Noble Hierarch,
Champion of the
that is
Parish,
Champion of the Parish, just
Esker Sentinel,
and then
Thalia's
that's Thalia's
Lieutenant.
lieutenant who just hit the board
Yep.
and is distributing counters for the team. Actually, that Hierarch should also get a counter because it is a human.
Yes, and I assume this is Daniel Wharton that Andrew's playing against here. So we've got two Swish members battling it out here.
Nice.
We'll see who wins. Who do you think's favored in this matchup, if you were to say, Jeremy?
So, in general, I would think that the Painter deck being kind of combo based,
Yeah.
whereas you're able to kind of just have like a knockout punch.
And here we might see it right now. I'm pretty sure that's a Painter Servant in play.
That has, okay. The Imperial Recruiter maybe is our red card in the
Yes,
center.
that would make sense. Or it's the one he blocked with. And
with
here
the
comes
mana left over.
Smuggler's Copter. I think that's a Smuggler's Copter.
Okay.
It's a little tough to tell. We got a little bit of a glare on the screen there, but I believe it is a Smuggler's Copter. I'm 90% sure.
What's nice with Painter being able to provide not only usually, especially the red version, I would think you're going to have Pyroblast and
Yep.
Elemental Blast, things like that.
Yep.
That gives you just, vindicates
Yeah.
as you see fit. And the humans deck kind of needs to build a critical mass.
Yep.
You have to push this damage across, and so like here we're sending a single champion. So now, yeah, I'll activate.
Smugglers. I'll block. I'll get a
loot
trigger.
a particular card out of my hand.
Trying to find the combo, I assume here.
Yeah, and once they have that, I really don't know what the humans deck is going to be able to do to.
Right. I don't think they main deck dismembers or anything in this format. I can't imagine.
Potentially, what is the Azorius colored human?
Oh yes.
Reflector Mage.
Reflector Mage.
I mean, that could maybe mess with the Painter half.
They
not
might
necessarily the
sideboard.
Grindstone part.
Yeah, exactly. Is that a Karn the Great Creator?
That looked like a Karn.
That's going to go get our combo, I think. I would imagine. Karn is going to go find Millstone. And for those that don't know, Jeremy, can you kind of explain to us how that combo works?
Okay, so Grindstone matters. It's a one casting cost artifact, 3 to activate.
Mhm.
And when that looks like an ensnaring bridge though, which will just buy him time.
Yeah, it'll get him to the combo.
What the Grindstone will do is it's 3 and you tap it to activate, and then target player will mill 2 cards.
Okay.
Flip them into the graveyard. Now, if they happen to share a color, it says repeat the process.
Okay.
Now, Painter's Servant lets it come into play, and once you've chosen a color, all cards, not just your hand, not just in play, not just the graveyard, but also the libraries all now become painted over with this color.
So it just mills your entire deck.
Yep, that 2 cards will wipe out the deck entirely.
That's
now,
pretty nuts.
Meddling Mage hitting play for the humans deck can potentially steal the card, or we should say block the card.
Yeah. It's probably going to block the
just went and
bridge.
found.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Now,
and then I think he just killed the Karn. Now, I know our life totals here are not correct. There's no way that Andrew is still at 20 life. We've seen him get attacked. We've seen him tap this ancient.
Oh, that is a Goblin Welder.
Ooh.
Okay, that changes some things other than what I had thought that was. Especially with some of the tricks you need to pull with like last known information and things like that.
Yeah.
You can actually activate a Grindstone.
Uh-huh.
Sacrifice it to Goblin Welder, throwing a Painter Servant in play, and then Painter Servant washes the deck of a particular color, and then once the Grindstone activation resolves, wipe your opponent out. So it's like you don't actually need both of them in play.
That is really interesting.
That's a clever thing that I'm sure
Andrew knows.
Yeah,
Andrew knows the silly little tricks you can do with these decks.
I'm sure he's played quite a bit.
Yeah.
Looks like Meddling Mage was removed. Is that a Charming Prince on the phone?
Another Thalia. It's a Thalia, Guardian of Thraben.
Oh, the taxing effect.
Yes, and then an image is cloning Welder.
That would be interesting.
That's kind of cool.
If you can mess with your stuff, I can mess with your stuff too.
Jeez, oh Pete, what a wild situation. Wild situation here. Don't see this every day.
I can't remember the last time I saw someone clone the opponent's Welder.
So here's what I think is happening. I believe Andrew is at 8 life, and I believe Dan is at 20 life, and they have the lives flipped right now because Mono Red Painter
would make more sense,
lines up with the 8, and Humans lines up with the 20. So sorry to our viewers. We'll try and get that cleared up. But that's what's going on. We've got the correct life total and the correct deck names, but they're in the wrong position at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll try and get that cleared up as soon as possible. But as it is, Andrew, he's in okay position.
It's just he could, at any time, he could be just, 1 card away.
From just winning the game.
Yeah, 2 mana for the Painter Servant, 1 to cast the Grindstone, 3 to activate. So 6 total mana, and we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 represented there. Nope, 6 with the Lotus Petal.
But it's 7 with a Thalia, right? You have to pay that 1 extra mana for the stone?
You have to pay for the stone, not for the Painter Servant, correct.
Okay.
Oh, it's Painter Mirror.
Yeah, and we are getting those fixed. And there we go. Now,
life totals.
And the life totals need to get switched as well. And once we do that, we are all set. So Mono Red Painter is at 8. Humans is at 20. Dan Wharton versus Andrew Wolfice. 2 Swish members battling it out here. Still 0-0. Who's going to get the first game? We will find out shortly. Dan mulling over his options here.
I mean, it's almost to the point where, as depending on how big that Champion of the Parish is, as you're sending it across, it's like almost acting like the Abyss that you're going to have to block.
Oh, yeah.
Or, it could very well almost be at that lethal range by now.
Does Andrew have the bridge in play yet?
Not 100% sure. We did see it was most likely what was named by Meddling Mage, but
and the Mage is gone now.
Yeah.
So the question is, did he deploy the Mage?
And that could very well be while the Noble Hierarch maybe is having to swing in with the Exaltedness.
Yes. And Dan might just pass the turn here. Now, I can't quite see the lands that are in play, but can Dan even activate the Welder right now? Can Ancient Ziggurat tap to activate abilities or just cast creatures?
So you might be conflating the difference between Goblin Engineer and Goblin Welder.
Oh.
Goblin Welder is the old school.
Does it just tap?
All it has to do is tap to trade them. The Goblin Engineer requires
the mana
red. That's the Modern Horizon version.
I see.
I
did not realize.
The current decks usually play both because what's nice is the Engineer has a bit of a tutor effect to it as well, to stock the graveyard.
Yes.
So that has been.
Yeah, I've seen Andrew tutor for Bolus's Citadel. Actually, I believe he plays one of Bolus's Citadel in his deck.
I got to pull that off on stream the other day.
Was it sweet?
Oh, it was sweet.
The
old turn 2 put a Bolus's Citadel into play. and I won that game.
I believe you. That's nice.
That's about the extent of the games I won on that stream, but it was, hey, that was a really cool thing.
Yeah, that is really neat, man. Really neat. So,
I do see a grindstone in play.
4 mana. What is this? I can't tell what this is. Is that a console's?
No, that looks like Palace
Oh,
Jailer.
Palace Jailer. That makes a lot of sense in
come
Legacy
into
Human.
play,
Yes.
take out something, and then gain the Monarch.
Yep.
Now, I don't recall if losing the Monarchy gives them the card back, or
I believe it just shifts the Monarch. You don't get the card back. I think
Like some
if
of
you
the
kill
other-
if you kill the creature, you might get the card back. I forget.
oh, let me pull it up.
Yeah, let's pull it up because I can never get what Palace Jailer does. I screw it up all the time. Okay, and we have Andrew doing that trick you were talking about with the millstone, I think.
Now he just has to be. Is he going to be able to pull it off with?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. When Palace Jailer enters the battlefield, you will become the Monarch, and if Palace Jailer exiles target creature until the opponent becomes the Monarch.
Okay, so the opponent has to become the Monarch.
If they could sneak in a point of damage to bring their Painter Servant back, but it does not appear that the target of the Jailer is still a legal target because there's been some hopping between the graveyard.
I think Andrew just milled his deck. Yep, he did. Yep. So Andrew did that trick you were talking about earlier, where I'm gonna respond. Yep.
To retain the color.
Disgusting.
Now, that's where I was saying, despite the aggression coming from the humans, Painter is sometimes only one card away from being able to have that combo knockout punch.
Makes a lot of sense. That's kind of why we don't see aggro decks typically being great in Legacy, is because they really struggle with these combo-oriented strategies usually, correct?
Definitely not straight aggressive
right.
decks. It's more, think about that Delver style where it can present it can present aggression while backing that up
with Daze, Force of Will, things like that. And then sometimes you'll see like isn't there like an Eldrazi Stompy deck in Legacy that's typically pretty okay?
Yes. So a lot of that is built into the cards themselves, whether Thought Knot Steer gets that take a card out of their hand, or something like Reality Smasher comes in and is just removing the opponent.
Super fast, yeah.
They also tend to, a lot of times, will play Chalice of the Void.
Right, just a lot of prison cards.
That's a proactive way to deal with things, as opposed to all the reactive, here's my threat and I'll defend it. It's, well, how about I just get out ahead of Swords to Plowshares and all that kind of thing, and then present you
it's true.
the big block.
So what cards do you think will be coming in from the human side here in Legacy? I'm not sure.
It would depend on what they have available to them.
Okay.
Most decks, I would think you'd want some sort of protection against graveyard strategies.
Yeah.
And I can't necessarily think of any creatures. Well, there's like a spirit, I believe, that has like a Tormod's Crypt effect.
Yeah, yep, Remorseful Cleric.
Yep, but as for human-wise, I can't think of anything. So
sure.
Whether sometimes like the tempo decks or whatever will run Surgical Extraction to go after key cards, or some of them will just go all the way up to Leyline of the Void, that they don't have to necessarily worry about it.
Do you think Humans is a deck that can support Force of Will or not quite?
Blue card count to support any of those pitch counters tends to be, I think it's around 17.
You want 17?
So with the number of just sheer amount of white cards and stuff that we've seen from them, Meddling Mage and the Phantasmal Image being blue cards, I don't think there's probably enough there to do it.
You would have to build it in a very specific way. You'd probably have to have four Image, 4 Reflector Mage, 4 Meddling Mage, and then 4 Force. So that'd be 15 other blue cards.
Yeah, and I still think you might feel like a little short. I mean, this is not the kind of deck that's going to have Brainstorm Ponders and things like that. You might be better off, if that is the way you want to go about it, to be, like, say, the Ninjas style deck that is able to play a lot of blue, not only card draw, but blue threats, and now that ups your overall blue. That also, though, in this particular matchup, might play into Andrew's strengths, because as being a mono-red paint deck, not only is he potentially planning to wash the board blue so his Pyroblast become Vindicates, so he's already set up for that if you're coming in as a Force of Will deck, you might be playing into his hands.
That makes sense. Okay.
As for what kind of things the painter deck would have against, aggressive strategies,
Just some red removal, I'd assume.
yeah,
Whatever.
well, we saw the Karn board being able to present Ensnaring Bridge.
Which is definitely good.
That's going to go a long way, but I don't know if he necessarily like. Plus, they also have just bolts. Lightning Bolt is a normal card to see.
Yep, and there's Goblin Welder right away. So Andrew just
That is a great one.
Off to the races here. Okay.
That looked like a ziggurat.
Yep, Dan at 3 mana here. What is he going to do with it? So 1 mana, I assume a champion. Nope, Esper Sentinel. Okay.
Now that could potentially start drawing him.
Yeah, it could be very good. Could definitely be very good.
Because I believe it triggers off
any non-creature. Yep, the first one on any turn.
Gotcha. It's not unlimited.
It is not. Ooh, that's disgusting. That's really good.
As you can tell from our
response, yes.
Thalia putting the tax is definitely going to now.
Ancient Tomb's nice. Now, what did he play? Is that Imperial? I think it's Imperial.
The way he's reaching for his deck. So not having to pay the tax on Thalia, not having to pay for the Sentinel to give that.
That's awesome.
And more than anything else, I'll just go tutor this Painter Servant out of my deck.
Which I also don't have to pay.
Ooh, incorrect. Goblin Crater Maker. Ooh. You familiar with that one?
I am. That's the 2/2 that sacks to deal 2 or destroy an artifact.
Destroy. I think it is colorless card.
You're right, it is colorless card. You're correct.
I have Crater Maker did Emrakul before.
That's insane.
It was awesome.
That's insane.
That was out of a goblin.
I was always bored. That's hilarious. I played one in the board of a Rakdos deck. I was playing an Historic for a minute to blow up like Sky Sovereigns and stuff because a lot of people were playing Sky Sovereign at that time. Mm-hmm. So I was just thinking that it was artifacts.
So
that's really pretty good.
Freebooter cannot take a creature?
It cannot. So it won't be getting that Crater Maker. It also won't be getting
that Imperial Recruiter.
So
big yikes. A grip of Lotus Petals and...
Can't tell what the other card is.
Oh, gone.
Yep. Makes sense. Why would you take one of these 3 Lotus Petals?
But those Lotus Petals are effectively taxed by Thalia and or giving just extra cards to the Sentinel.
Yeah.
Caracas hits play.
Seems not too bad, I guess.
Exalting.
It protects the Thalia, which is nice.
Exalting in for 3.
Yeah. So, yeah. Andrew down to 15 here.
So, multiple. So we saw the first, maybe, and that's why the first Imperial Recruiter could feel safe going off and getting Crater Maker, knowing there was another one. Yep. Now, Caracas is usually thought of to be, proactive. I will deal with my opponent's legends, but it might have an extra defensive measure here.
It definitely will with that Thalia, potentially.
Because if we fire off Crater Maker trying to take Thalia out, Caracas just bounces it to hand and saves it.
Now, Andrew won't walk into that, but it's still good to have the option for Dan here.
In some Bant mirrors, I've seen Caracas made more protective of their own Uro than necessarily dealing with your opponents, but it has the nice benefit of being able to also
bounce your opponents when you need to, when you're in a must bounce the Euro position, which is obviously not a great thing to bounce, because when you're bouncing it, you're giving your opponent 3 life in a card, but sometimes you have no choice.
Dismember just took out, it looks like the Goblin Welder over there.
That's
in the
excellent.
graveyard.
That's really good for...
And I don't believe there were actually any artifacts in the graveyard at the time worth... Maybe at all.
Now, I am curious... Did Dan have 2 mana? Because there's a Thalia in play.
He used his Noble Hierarch
and an untapped land.
And the Caracas that we had saw.
Just wanted to make sure that he paid both.
And
yes,
our life totals are noted by those die at the bottom of the screen too. So if it doesn't
if it's a little bit off, check the die. We'll get those adjusted as soon as possible.
Crater Maker is going to go after... It's going to try to go after Thalia.
Huh. Now that's interesting to me. Why maybe just didn't.
He might
want to take the damage.
Yeah, that doesn't.
It seems like a weird time.
Especially if it can be replayed.
Right. Why wouldn't we do this on the
second main?
Yeah, kind of a weird play.
No, it ended up being melee mage. There are multiple Lotus Petals. I don't know
you can
if
still
that's
play Thalia. You can still play Thalia too, right? Oh, just another meddling. That's really good.
I mean, you name Painter, you name Grindstone.
Seems good.
Here's something we haven't seen come up yet. Urza's Saga for Andrew.
Yeah.
And apparently he did not name Grindstone because it's in.
Maybe he named Painter and like Lightning Bolt or something. Maybe
Yeah.
he wants to protect his things. And I could see that. I think that's
He could
reasonable.
also have named the Imperial Recruiter he knows in Andrew's reveal PM from before.
Now, why is Andrew not playing the Lotus Petals there? I'm a little confused by that.
I mean, especially once he plays the Grindstone and whether or not he paid the
He did.
the Sentinel tax.
Yeah, he did because he paid 2 mana.
And,
There's no Thalia anymore.
I certainly would have deployed
Yeah.
the other Lotus Petals just to have access to them.
Right.
Nothing else.
Because once Thalia hits, they're,
Also,
get taxed.
Having the Lotus Petals in play makes this eventual Karnstruct that's going to come out of Urza Saga
Much more impressive.
much bigger.
Much more impressive, yeah. Now, I'm a little surprised. Oh, what did he draw here? What is this? Oh, this is a main phase, just playing Engineer, I think. Getting Painter in the
this
yard.
is Engineer. So here is the 2 mana, but it gets to search, and now he has Painter Servant in the graveyard, waiting to come back off of Engineer activation. Once again, these Lotus Petals in play would be doing that much more.
Yeah.
Now, it's possible maybe those were named off the Meddling Mage.
It is possible.
Just knowing, hey, this one Meddling Mage can turn off 2 cards in your game.
Yep, and I mean, that makes sense to an extent. But Dan's in a lot of trouble here again, right? Because can Andrew activate Grindstone and with the ability on the stack, weld it off to go get the Painter?
That will work.
Okay.
It's going to come down to the pressure, I think, on Andrew's life. Now, there is a
Champion of the Parish or something over there, it looks like.
There's a pretty good-sized army over on the left-hand side.
There is, yeah. Is it big enough?
Is the center land for Andrew is an Ancient Tomb. Being able to price him out of activating that
would be huge.
Yeah.
Could just be the game, actually. It could
2,
literally make
4, 6, 8, flyer 9. Like if you
if you don't block, you can't tap the tomb, which is critical.
If you swing everybody here,
and
which
he is.
It appears. Here comes. Don't send the hierarchs. All right, Engineer had to block, and the rest of that takes him down to 2, turning off.
Yep, turning off the tomb. So this is massive.
Now, Urza Saga is going to trigger here.
Yeah.
And unlike it's able to search 1-drops out of his deck, it would be nice if he had the other half of the combo.
Right.
He already has the Grindstone in play. So
right.
he's going to float a colorless, let the Saga do its thing, and find...
Can't tell what that
mystery
is.
card.
Can't tell what that is at all, but...
And a Pyroblast has been fired off, taking out a Meddling Mage.
Probably on the Lotuses. And he's just picking up
that
the
was just spite.
Just anger. Get it off the board. I've had enough. Okay, so we're going to game 3 here. Pretty exciting match so far.
Did we see Meddling Mages out of Human in game 1?
I think we did. I think we did see one. Meddling Mage makes sense. I mean, it's in the modern version, and it seems equally as good in Legacy as it is in Modern. It's one of the more key pieces to humans.
I do think anytime, I mean, there's an old saying, if somebody is playing a deck that is named after a particular card in the deck, if you don't let them have access to that card, it's going to work out well for you.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
So Meddling Mage being able to say, what if you don't get to play Painter?
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, Humans in Legacy really doesn't seem that bad to me. I've not seen it very often, but it seems okay. Like it's definitely got a lot of good tools.
Yeah, and the only thing I would say is when you're comparing, I want this aggressive deck with being able to have like protection and disruption. Yeah. Now I guess that's the difference is you're trading off your Force of Wills and things like that for the disruption of the Kitesail Freebooter, of the Meddling Mages, of Thalia doing its thing, even the 1-white artifact Esper Sentinel. All of those are disruptive elements.
Aether Vials, like a way to cheat things in.
Once you can start playing those disruptive effects.
There it is. Speaking of Aether Vial, there it is. So it looks like Andrew led with a turn 1 Smuggler's Copter, which is pretty gross, but I think he had to use an Ancient Tomb twice here to go to 16. So he is hurting himself a lot.
Spirit Guide at 3 mana with a red that looks like Imperial Recruiter.
He's searching his deck.
But you can still fire up the Copter. Is it not Crew 1?
It is Crew 1, because they thought that was reasonable on that. vehicle for some reason. So
Well,
there's a reason that one didn't last in standard. Turns out Thraben Inspector being able to crew 3/3 flyers that loot was a little too strong.
yes, Wizards R&D.
Yeah, a little bit of a whoops. Although I mean, Copter was a really cool design. They should have just made it more crew, and they did figure that out with other vehicles in the future.
Or actually having to connect for the damage.
Yeah, not just attack. Yeah, the attack or block also. Yeah, you forget that it gets it on block. But yeah, it's just such a good card. It's a little too good for standard at least.
Great furnace. Now, it sure looks like the recruiter, the Imperial recruiter found. I thought that was a Goblin Welder.
Okay.
Which would be very interesting with the discard element of the Smuggler's Copter to have a looter to go with it.
Yes, very.
But then again, I would have expected it to enter play there, and it didn't. So maybe he's holding a Pyroblast or representing Pyroblast?
Or a Bolt.
Mm-hmm. But Meddling Mage is going to hit play.
And we'll see if Dan names either Bolt or Blast here, because kind of awkward.
Especially once you tutor for something.
And then don't play it.
Yeah.
It's a very big sign that...
And maybe it's a 50-50 guess here of which one do you have. Do you have Pyroblast? Do you have Bolt? Choose the wrong one. Maybe he's hemming and hawing about it.
Yep.
Sounds like he guessed wrong.
Yep, guessed wrong. What can you do? He probably... I hope he didn't name Engineer, because that's a silly play. If your opponent passes with that one red, they're telegraphing.
They're definitely representing.
Yeah, they're saying, I have removal spell. So I really hope that Dan at least guessed removal spell, but we don't know.
All right, crewing the Copter,
crewing and swinging
in again.
Smuggler's Copter doing what Smuggler's Copter does. And I said it was banned in Standard. It's actually banned in Pioneer, too.
Okay.
They got rid of it there as well very quickly.
Do you play much Pioneer?
At the time where it got banned, I was playing a lot of it because that was right before the Invitational.
Gotcha.
And I was considering playing Mono Black Aggro with Copter in it because it was super good in that deck. It was super good in a lot of decks, to be fair. People were playing like Goblin Rabblemaster with it so they could just crew with the tokens that you create so you don't have to swing with them. That was a nasty little trick. Yeah, it was really good. Yeah, it was a very cool deck. But yeah, they got rid of it. They said it, really hurt format diversity, and that's true. It did definitely hurt format diversity, so the reasoning was pretty sound. It's just a little too good. Card was just a little too good. It's fortunately not too good for Modern, because we have cards like Lightning Bolt. Certainly not too good for Legacy, but still a strong card nonetheless.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, it looked like a Goblin Engineer hit,
and now we got an Imperial.
Put a Grindstone, and what's nice here with the Aether Vial ticked up, to the Humans Recruiter can go find something that can be dropped right into play.
Which he's definitely going to do. I'm curious what he's going to get, though. He's in a rough spot here.
Mm-hmm. That's when he's looking through the deck a couple times.
Yeah, do I have anything that actually
Check
matters?
my hand again.
It's a Plague Engineer. That's kind of sweet.
Is that a Fairy Macabre?
Oh, it is a Fairy Macabre.
Fairy Macabre as a way
it
to
is
wipe
a Fairy
stuff
Macabre.
out of we find our graveyard.
That's kind of neat. That is kind of neat.
Interesting.
Goofy me thinking it was Plague Engineer.
Well, I mean, I could be wrong. I could just be reading the
Buddy.
article.
That's kind of great.
War's Wage.
So all of a sudden, things went from looking really bad for Humans to looking really bad for Painter, honestly. Those are two really annoying cards.
And sometimes the Humans have to go talk to their friends from other tribes
and
get a little bit of help.
It's also relevant here to note that the Bolt was already baited on the previous, and blasts don't kill Kataki without a Painter in play.
Oh no!
So
we
could be really bad here for Andrew.
So Great Furnace and
Smuggler's Copter's getting sacked.
So we did not pay the rent on Smuggler's Copter. We did on the Great Furnace.
Okay, Lotus Petal into play.
Deploy it certainly makes me think we need to use it here.
Oh,
because we're not going to pay the tax on that one.
Yep. Agreed. 2-3, here it is. Do you think it's another Recruiter here, perhaps? Go get Painter? Nope, it's a Bridge.
Well, yeah, pay the tax on a Bridge.
We will pay the tax on Bridge for a minute.
Now, what'll be interesting is the Kataki player remember to pay the rent on their own Aether Vial.
He better. He did. Not Dan's first rodeo.
Good.
Which land do we tap? That's the only question.
To be fair, there are a lot of expectations of things you need to know by the time you have your second rodeo.
Yes, that's true. That is true.
I don't know how those Cowboys do it.
Yeah.
All right, a
Who
Ziggurat
knows?
hits. The nice thing about Ziggurat being able to pay for any creature lets you have that diversity in tribes. What is unclaimed territory is the one where you have to name but you get colorless off of it otherwise.
Exactly. Yep.
It's a decent trade-off.
It is. Yep. And here come.
Does Kataki have?
No,
I do not remember if Kataki.
it doesn't.
It's
And
one of those things where it looks like a spirit.
it's a 2/1. I'm a little confused as to what this is. What does he have?
Does he have? Oh, he has a Caracas that we missed. So
Okay.
Kataki is a legend. Therefore,
And he's gonna
can
cheat
save
it.
it from danger, and then redeploy it. Nope, that's Athalia's lieutenant coming off the vial.
And then replay the Kataki
And
here.
then
So
play
just
that.
getting a little bit of extra damage. That might have been a really good play, actually. It's a little bit of a greedy play because now we can't protect it.
Yeah,
but
shields are down.
Andrew has to pay the tax for this bridge, and I imagine he's going to do it with his red source. So he's not going to have red mana if he draws a removal spell anyway this turn. So it might have been a really smart play.
The red source requires its own tax, so he paid.
Oh, you're right. I forgot.
He
paid both though to the
taxes
tomb.
off each tomb, which you're not gonna be able to do too many more times.
Right. Yeah. So letting the shields down was a little dangerous here. Oh, that's a Simian Spirit Guide getting exiled. Okay. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Was that a whip flare?
Well, it only wiped one side of the board. I'm not familiar with one-sided pyroclasms too much.
Cinderclasm? Is that one-sided?
Oh.
I don't know if
Oh, that looks like Fury.
Oh, it was Fury. So he pitched Simian Spirit Guide to Fury.
Not paying
I
costs.
thought he added mana, but okay.
Have you?
And this is why we shouldn't have been too greedy with that Caracas.
Yeah, because that could have protected Kataki.
Yep. So Dan got a little too greedy, and it's probably going to cost him dearly.
It appears the freebooter tried to come out and found a Painter Servant in hand.
Yep.
And now
we're just a combo piece away.
We're hiding under the bridge
like
a troll.
Like a troll, yep.
Waiting to finish you off with my other combo piece.
Yep. So Dan, a little bit of a misstep, got too aggressive with his Caracas.
But maybe he felt like I have to push.
Maybe.
With the bridge, I can't let you just that's the whole point of the bridge is I am trying to turtle up. Well, I can't let you.
Yeah, it's a tough call. Now,
is that a engineer activation?
Personally, I would have liked to see him be a little more safe with it. I think.
Just with how
impressive, how important
damaging
Kataki
it could have been.
Because it makes turtling kind of hard. Because even if you deploy
once
cards,
you're paying the taxes, yeah.
Yeah, even if either way, Andrew's in good shape here. I think.
He's at 4.
He is at 4, and there is a Noble Hierarch, which is a great attacker.
That's one thing I would question is what kind of reach necessarily does humans have? Like they have the aggression, but if they're able to be stopped with something like a bridge.
Andrew's down to 2 life, but he has no cards in hand now, so
no card.
The Hierarch's the only thing that can get in for damage.
Yeah, like if we could somehow strand cards in the hand, then the freebooter can get in there.
I don't know if this will come up, but Andrew technically only has 1 mana now because he cannot tap that tomb anymore. So if he draws things like Goblin Engineer, he will not be able to
be stranded.
Those will get stranded, which means freebooter will be a lethal attacker right away. So Andrew,
is that an Urza Saga?
I believe it is.
If so, we're just counting down to being able to pull the Grindstone straight out of the
Right.
deck.
But he won't have the mana yet.
He won't have the mana for it.
Yeah. So this might get kind of interesting.
I do wonder.
Oh, that's another land, though. I think he just drew another den, and that's problematic because now we can float that mana, go get the Grindstone, and activate the game.
And that appears to be what is expected.
Dan sees the writing on the wall. Andrew may have explained the writing on the wall. Really close game. I think Dan would have had a better chance had he not been aggressive on the 1 turn with the Caracas. But other than that, it was a well-played match, I think, from both sides.
Yeah, the Kataki, if that was in fact Fairy Macabre, that was an interesting one. That's Graveyard Hate, that's tutorable off of his Recruiter pack.
Seems really good.
As opposed to, just hoping to draw in a deck that doesn't feature Brainstorms, Ponders, etc.
Yixlid Jailer might be another interesting like graveyard
True.
interactive card that you could play. It's obviously, you'd be dipping into another tribe again, but I don't think you really care.
But say you're worrying about things like Reanimator.
Yeah,
Yixlid Jailer turns off the abilities. It doesn't stop it from being a creature, so it still gets to hop out of plenty of
sure. Okay.
Whereas
I
Fairy
forget what Yixlid Jailer even does, to be
it
honest
is
with you.
definitely good against Dredge.
Okay.
But it basically blanks the things that are in the
Okay,
graveyard.
so nothing in the yard has an
Yes.
ability.
So the Dredge things like that won't trigger.
Sure.
Icarids won't hop out. Things like that. But
The cards in the yard also just lose dredge, right? Don't they just lose
it
all
basically
text?
it blanks them out. So
That's
that is
wild.
what's nice about it.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
But yeah, so that was a pretty interesting match that it did turn out kind of how we thought, favoring the combo side.
Yep.
But the humans deck definitely had more of a shot than I think I gave it credit for.
Right. It put up good fight, and like I said, it might have been a mistake away from winning the game. Like, was the Caracas play maybe a little too aggressive? I think it probably was, and in hindsight, it was.
The fact it came all the way down to 2 life,
Right.
which is just an ancient tomb tap away, that Kataki would have pushed. You get to the point where they can't even pay for the bridge.
Right. That's the
or
problem.
their other lands. Yeah.
Exactly, because he drew another Ancient Den, which would have just been getting taxed every turn. And sure, he can sack them, but then he doesn't have mana again, so he can draw these 2-drops and lose.
That looks like the Collector Oof might also have been there.
Oof makes sense.
Oof, there it is.
Yeah, Oof would have been disgusting. But unfortunately, not a card that Dan drew there.
All right, that is our first round in the books. We're going to look to get a new matchup for you after the next round. I don't know how many rounds we will be playing today, but hopefully we can offer you a variety of matchups.
My guess is probably 3 today with the amount of people that showed up and the fact the store closes at 6, and I think we started at 2.
Well, there you go.
So I assume it'll be a 3-rounder today for those watching. So there should be 2 more rounds at least of Legacy action. There may be a 4th, but I don't think there will be today.
Okay.
Hopefully in future weeks when we start to get these events to take off a little more. Like we said, this is literally the first time the store has done this either. Not only Swish streaming these, but in general, the first time Galactic Toys here in Kentwood has done one of these.
how they're making cards currently, and you'll come back to the same exact problem until the problem is done. And I think that is the days.
Okay, and we are back. I believe we're back here at Galactic Toys and Games in Kentwood, Michigan, with round 2 of our, well, kind of our self-administered little legacy event here.
Yeah, this is a little Swish gaming expose.
Yep. And so this time we have Nate on elves, fellow teammate Nate, versus Dan Wharton again, but this time he's bringing some Bant Snow to the table. So let's see what happens here. It looks like he's fetching for an island. Is he going to brainstorm right away? Is he going to ponder? It's probably a ponder, be my guess.
Dan also rolled the 6.
Dan mulled the 6. Okay. That, I believe...
That is a ponder, a secret layer ponder.
Interesting. I haven't seen that one before.
The secret layer ones are the ones that are going to get me. Cause,
that one is from the secret layer Black is Magic.
Oh, I really like that one. I guess it's hard to see at this size, but when the art on that was released, I thought like the ponder that I currently play with is like the full art one with the moon in the background.
Uh-huh.
Love it.
But I don't know, that new ponder looked pretty awesome when I first saw it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty cheap ponder to get in foil too if you're looking for foil out your legacy deck.
So what do you guys again know a little more about Legacy than me. What do you guys think of this matchup, Elves versus Bant Snow?
I think it is incredibly favoring elves.
Okay.
Because part of it is, once again, we're going to have a combo deck against a control deck. But this is a combo deck that's going to play 4 of a card that says it can't be countered and other green spells can't be countered. And that's going to be a problem for the counterspell deck.
Okay. And even though the Snow deck plays 4 copies of Terminus post-board, still don't think it's good enough?
Dan needs to, on his next turn, basically hold up white the rest of the game for Swords to Plowshares.
Okay.
And he needs to have a lot of them.
Okay.
You need to counter you need to kill the Heritage Druids. You need to kill the spider thing.
Wirewood Symbiote.
Wirewood Symbiote, that's the one.
Yeah, that one's really annoying.
There's also the other, and then there's another elf that does untapped lands, right?
Quirion Ranger.
Quirion Ranger,
and
yes.
Wirewood Symbiote get into, and I believe what I saw from Nate when he was playtesting before, he does something similar to me. He represents when his cards that are used that don't have a tap effect by inverting the card.
Very, very heads up thing to do.
Yeah,
playing
it's
the deck,
really important.
It helps your opponent know,
There's
and
no
you to know,
questions.
keep yourself honest.
Yep.
Okay, so this is a very explosive turn.
Oh boy.
If
Yep.
this is a heritage,
This might be game right
the
now.
fact that these all resolved, you can tap that
Wow.
those 3 together. That's 3 green mana, and every green spell triggers untapping.
It's a glimpse.
Okay, so we got 2 of the guys back, 2 green floating.
Okay, and it looks like Dan might have swords.
Once the green spell is announced, the trigger happens that will untap.
Correct.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to successfully resolve.
Dan
But,
may be thinking
okay.
about if he wants to swords the ranger or the druid.
Dan's able to just counter this glimpse of nature.
That'd be really good.
Well, there still will be 2 green floating, but you're not going to
Get to
load
draw
up
cards.
on all
It'll buy him the
cards.
time he needs.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
it'll limit the amount of fuel that elves can produce.
Yeah. Excuse me. Okay. So we'll see what land Dan gets here.
Probably
I
would
would,
be
I would,
Oh.
It's a weird one.
Oh, perhaps he's going to be playing Icefang Coatl to draw a card to see if he can get the force.
Ah, you're right.
that makes sense.
That is a dress down.
So we are. Dress Down is a newer card. It's an enchantment
Now-
with flash.
This is kind of a weird. I wish he would have dressed down in response to the
Heritage
mana
Druid
producer
being
being
played.
cast is
I would-
what he should have done.
I would absolutely agree.
Because that
there,
would have
'cause
nuked all the mana. There would have been no mana production this turn from Nate. So he would have still had a board, but he wouldn't have had any mana. I also don't getting all the basic lands right now isn't incredibly necessary against elves, right? Because they don't play wastelands, so you can go get your duels much more.
Yeah. These are the kinds of things that would.
It's a secret layer Swords to Plowshares.
That is actually the one I play online.
Oh, very nice.
The Yargle. So this is apparently the Secret Layer Snow deck.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't notice that. That is a secret layer forest as well, but he's using Cold Snap plains and island.
Interesting.
Yep, there's the Allosaurus rider.
So, Gaia's Cradle
Is going to
tapping
let
for a single
Allosaurus.
green for everything over here.
That's
This
6
is
mana
game, this
all
is
by
game
itself.
right now.
Yeah,
he just
because-
activates the Allosaurus
Yep,
Shepherd.
yep.
I know,
So
and
Dan down a
now,
game.
even though there are only 2 elves there, that would turn into 5/5s because it only changes the elves to 5/5s. But the Cradle being able to tap for 6 on its own is 5, 10. It's a lot.
Okay, he's not scooping it up yet. So he's
Well-
going to play it out.
So,
I
Ice Fang
respect
Quaddle, which does have, you need, now that might be part of why he fetched the basics he did. Ice Fang Quaddle's Death Touch is entirely dependent on the number of snow fragments you have.
Right.
3 others.
So once you get Tendras, etc., you're not going to.
You're not going to have the Death Touch.
Yeah.
I don't know how relevant the Death Touch actually is, though.
Well,
Here
if
it's going to be good.
If it's it's going to let him take out
A
one
thing.
of those sentinels.
But I think the only way we're going to win is Terminus.
And
Personally.
I think it maybe actually didn't make contact since the ones in the middle are the Wirewood symbiotes. He was able to return the elf that was going to die.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's right back in play. And then that trigger untaps his buddy.
Yeah.
So the only thing that happened here was he drew a card.
Yeah,
well,
we
he took some damage and drew
Took
a card.
8 damage. He bought himself a turn.
Yeah. Need that Terminus, baby. There it is.
There it is. Bam. Right
All right,
off the top.
well, I think Dan's probably going to win the game now.
Is the Wirewood
You would-
symbiotes.
You would think, but elves, if they have a glimpse of nature,
Yeah,
they can get themselves
They-
out of a terminus really quick.
they can. He's
Yeah.
already used one, though. He doesn't have many cards left in his hand, does he?
Well, the Wirewood symbiotes are able to be used on either player's turn.
That's
so
true.
even though he used it on his own turn,
He can also use it
He
on his
looked like
turn.
he rescued at least one of the Nettle Sentinels and potentially the Allosaurus Shepherd, or
I
what were
believe
rescued.
that's what he rescued.
Okay.
How did he rest? Did he have 2 symbiotes?
He had 2
Yeah,
Wirewood
there were 2
symbiotes.
symbiotes. There were 2
That's
symbiotes.
pretty good. That's pretty
So-
good. Okay.
Of course, that's Ponder again.
Okay.
Yep.
It doesn't look like the same as the
That's rough. Yeah.
Big fan of Secret Layers.
Oh, really?
Big fan. Not a fan of that art, though.
Not the Ponder?
No, I'm more of a classic M10 kind of Ponder person myself.
That is a good
Is that the
one.
one with the hand and like the 3?
3
That's
orbs.
what I like
Yeah.
the best too. Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those things where, depending on the blue cantrips, there are usually multiple printings of them,
Yep.
and people come down on different sides of which arts they prefer.
Yep.
There's the 2 known cards. Actually, it looks like that might be. He might have saved a Wirewood symbiote.
That makes sense.
You can't save a
No,
Wirewood
it's not a
symbiote 'cause it
Wirewood.
is an insect. So the Allosaurus Shepherd is back first.
I
Can't quite
tell
make
what
out the
that
second
is.
one.
Might be a second Allosaurus Shepherd.
Or it could just be. But we have redeployed everything.
Yep. And he's out of cards in hand now, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Interesting.
So if Dan can answer the Allosaurus Shepherd, that takes a lot of steam out of.
Yeah, because say a top decked natural order here that sacrifices a green creature and turns it into something else. This
Crater
deck
Hoof Behemoth
usually
usually.
has a Crater Hoof Behemoth out of the sideboard. Sometimes they'll go with Progenitus because it's
Yeah.
harder to deal with.
Yep, that makes sense.
It looks like Dan's got a Force of Will and an Uro in hand.
Force of Will not doing him too
Yeah.
much
Why
good
would we
against
not
the
play?
Shepherd,
Why would we not play Euro there? I don't like that.
even if it's worth a life, because the life totals on top, as you can see, are slightly different than the dice at the bottom.
Yeah, I don't. If he had Euro, it doesn't make a lot of sense to not play it there, in my opinion. Leave a white up, see if we can get
nothing
sold
else,
to the
yeah,
prismatic.
draw,
Correct.
get the 3 life, and draw towards a removal spell.
All right, if Dan loses this next game, I might go boot him off, and y'all might watch Taxman Dykeman play some Snow against Elves. Because
Run the
I had the
bench.
magic touch with Snow last week, so
Garbage
maybe,
deck.
maybe I'll have it
Unplayable.
again. Maybe I'll have it again.
You don't want to play ninjas?
No, I think Snow's fun. Ninjas is fun too.
You don't want to play Blue-Black Delver?
We'll do that at some point later, but the world needs to know that Bant can beat Elves. It's going to happen
Bant
when
is
it's in
an
my hand.
interesting deck in Legacy.
It's a sweet one.
It feels like it's, obviously it's heavily targeted to the taxes and the delvers of the format.
Yeah.
But it's not very good against, pretty much anything else.
Okay.
It's not good against combo
Okay.
at all.
Well, you have so much interaction of your spot removal and things like that, and if somebody could ignore you, then you have so many dead cards.
Yeah.
And it's not good at establishing pressure like Delver is.
Yep.
True.
where Delver can play a turn one creature, Dragon Rage Channeler, Ragavan, whatever the case may be, and they can just chip in for 10 turns. They don't
Okay,
care.
that makes sense. Yeah.
An aggressive play from Ban is a, turn 4 or 5
Euro. Yeah.
That's very aggressive.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, so.
Very fair. Okay, Dan doing
I'm
some
loving the art in this deck.
There's a lot of. Now this is Sean's deck, right?
Yeah,
Judge Sean.
Head Judge, yep.
So does he have like a bunch of Judge foils and stuff in here?
No, he was asking if I had a bunch of cards. He's just very particular about the cards in this deck.
Okay.
And I think the only card that I saw that wasn't to his liking there was probably the Sylvan Library.
Okay.
As a white border 4th edition.
He doesn't like that one?
Or no, excuse me, not 4th edition.
Just want to tell you.
Chronicles.
You got Italian Legend.
That's sweet right there.
I'll have to talk to him. I think we also saw a white bordered Savannah.
Mmm.
That could be, foreign black border. You got to talk to him. Got to step up his game here.
Yeah, I know.
His tropical German black border. Excellent choice.
Very good. Wunderbar.
Wunderbar.
Now, what kind of things? I mean, if we're already saying that Elves is favored in this matchup, what kind of things would it even need to necessarily sideboard? Like some of the tools it might have.
I think I could see a world where it sideboards some. I know Nate's particular Elves was green black.
Okay.
I could see him sideboard against some number of Thought Seizes.
Okay.
To just kind of strip the interaction.
Yeah.
So if the ghost is clear, and then go in for the kill.
Mm-hmm.
I believe I also saw that he is using the Planeswalker Grist. Are any of you familiar with that? Have you seen?
Powerful. Very powerful card.
That makes sense.
What's interesting is, being a Green Sun Zenith deck already, being able to Green Sun Zenith out a Planeswalker and start accruing value seems
pretty nuts.
Seems
Yeah,
pretty good.
pretty nuts.
If he needs to pivot away from that, quick combo to getting grindy.
It also just gives you removal.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Removal, tutorable removal is
Nate's
really
been
nice.
championing Grist pretty hard recently.
Makes sense.
It's one of his favorite cards for Modern Rises.
It ended up being really good in the Yawgmoth deck in Modern for a similar reason. You can just tutor it up, and it's tutorable interaction with a lot of things, which is just good to have.
So that looks like Once Upon a Time.
Yep. That one's a fair card.
Yep. And finding itself a land here.
Yep.
It's actually not too broken in this deck, though.
No, it's not.
It's better.
In Legacy, it's a fine card.
It's more reasonable.
It lets you have your.
It lets you find Gaia's Cradle and whichever one drop you need at the time.
This is smart from Dan here. Just snap counter the Green Sun. Get it out of the deck, and it prevents him from just going and grabbing a Dryad Arbor.
Yeah.
Because Dryad Arbor, it is, obviously it's a land that produces mana, but it's more an Elves because it generates with the Wirewood Symbiote, or not the Wirewood Symbiote, the Quirion Ranger, and it also generates more mana with Gaia's Cradle.
Yeah, another body.
So it's not just one mana, it's several.
When I have played Elves, I mean, it's a nice one that it's a mana producer that just happens to be sack fodder for that natural order.
Absolutely.
Especially since so many of your things key off, having elves, number of elves, it being a mana producing creature, not an elf.
It's a really awkward card to draw, to just naturally play.
Because of the summoning sickness on your
summoning
land.
sickness is huge.
Yeah. Well, at least this white bordered Savannah is autographed, so that's not too bad.
Looks nice. I love it. I think it looks beautiful. It's a beautiful
Looks
Savannah.
just like a scrub land to me.
Ooh, Sylvan Library. I love all this white border. This is nice.
You're a monster.
This is what I expect when I watch a Legacy match. Just white bordered cards all over the place.
I'll admit my duels are revised, but
does that mean they're white bordered or black bordered?
That means
revised is white bordered.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love it. That's
all right. So we have an Allosaurus
That's why this
Shepherd
man is
followed
an
by
Analyst plus a Quirion Ranger.
okay.
Oh, it's the new art on Quirion Ranger.
Yes.
I know it got reprinted.
It's got the Visions watermark in the center.
Gotcha.
Only way I was able to do that.
M25.
No, they actually did that for Modern Horizons 2 cards as well.
Really?
The retro cards. Yep.
Cool.
I
know, like, what was it? It was the M25 that if they were like going back and it was like Blood Moon, you could see like the dark the crescent and stuff like that.
Yeah, gorgeous cards. Those watermarks.
Wow, he's taking a full 8 there, so he must really be trying to
I like
clear
this.
clear
I like
cards.
this an awful lot.
Euro time. Let's play
So-
Euro.
That's true. Gain some of it back.
Yep.
In the Bant Snow deck, I think you should, that first turn with the Sylvan Library, 9 times out of 10 you're taking 8.
It makes sense. I mean, you're a Euro deck.
You got to get some card advantage.
You're also a Euro deck, so you just like gain it all back. Like imagine a Euro into a white source into a removal spell here. I mean, that'd be just excellent. It's not what we're gonna do. It's a
I
little
believe that's a
unfortunate.
ponder.
It is a ponder.
Hey, I got it.
We're learning. Okay.
And
Removal spell, I'd imagine. Prismatic Ending. Which one do I hit?
Prismatic Ending, you got to go for the Nettle Sentinel.
That's what he went with, right?
Quirion Ranger is very powerful, but Nettle Sentinel allows you to just chain off.
Yeah.
so
there's the
Dryad
Dryad
Arbor,
Arbor.
powering up the cradle for 2.
Visionary.
Draw a card.
I think I don't believe, maybe I see a Force of Will in Dan's hand.
You might.
I think if I had the Force of Will, I force this Visionary.
Yeah, I like
it's
that.
one more creature. It's one card deeper.
That
Powering up the
card's
cradle.
incredibly stressful. And if Nate ever finds a Wirewood symbiote,
Right, then it gets
True.
stupid. Then it
Yeah.
gets really
then
stupid.
it's ridiculous.
Does not appear like you paid a bunch of life, so Snapcaster back the Prismatic Ending.
I think you just take the Quirion Ranger here.
Yeah, and I think Nate even pointed to it like, hey,
Well,
you
if
should
he-
probably take this.
His only other legal target would have been the Dryad Arbor. And
Oh, but that's not even a
no,
legal
he can't
target
take
because
the
it's a
Dryad
land,
Arbor
so he
because it's a
has to
land.
hit. Yeah,
Okay.
it's no choice there.
Gotcha.
Good
Well,
catch.
especially the Quirion Ranger would be able to bounce a forest
Yeah.
and make you win.
Yeah. Definitely.
2 off the
And
cradle.
Nate's really good about
Floating
for
2.
newer players like Dan is to
So now we're
Legacy.
up to 4, 5.
He walks people through that.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, we're trying to get good coverage here, so that's helpful for everyone, I think.
Yeah.
That's
Casting
upon a
once.
time. I see an Allosaurus Shepherd, I believe.
That seems
Okay.
pretty good.
He
That's
float-
what he took.
He floated 2 green, replayed a new cradle, so now we have none floating.
I see.
But if he plays the Shepherd, he can then play a Natural Order.
Which he does have.
I think that's. I don't know if I'd play it right now, but he thinks better of it.
Is it lethal?
No.
Because the Crater Hoof would come in.
Actually, yes, it is lethal. Because the Crater Hoof is going to be an 8/8.
8/8 trample.
And the
But will-
Visionary is going to be a 4/4.
Trample haste,
Which-
right?
Yeah.
So that's 12 points coming in, only one
One
point
toughness,
of
and he's at
toughness.
9 life because of that aggressive library play. So he's going to die here. I think I'm going to walk over there and see if I can take some Bant Snow action against the elves here, because I was on deck anyway.
And a big thing in this matchup is obviously Bant can't play Plague Engineer, and that card is a real house against elves.
Just being able to, the uptick of the variety of tribal. One thing I've seen, sometimes you even see Plague Engineer against, like Bant Control, when it had all of the snakes, or I know I've played it against Blue Red Delver. Once you name humans, the front side of Delver, the Dragon's Range Channeler before it powers up, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Just being able to have one card kind of proactively answer others is nice. All right. Well, it looks like we are
And it
resetting.
looked like it did look like Nate Cyborg, just like I thought, just bringing the 4 copies of Thoughtseize, just to give a little bit of disruption.
Like you're saying, make sure the coast is clear, and sometimes you don't. Even if you are familiar with the matchup, you don't 100% know the list. What kind of tricks might they have?
Yeah.
Stop a mind break trap.
Yeah, like the Allosaurus Shepherd cuts off a lot of the potential interaction that Dan has, or the not Stevenson, the Bant Snow deck has, but just be able to cast Thoughtseize and just strip them with a removal.
True.
And then just go in.
Yeah, definitely an interesting approach to the matchup. Now, do you think this will play any different with a different pilot?
Steven is a very good pilot when it comes to these kind of decks that have a lot of decision points. I think he's going to. I think it's going to be a little bit better. Steven's much better with this deck than I am. As a band deck, I just can't play it. But I think it's in general. I think it's a really bad match.
It's still going to be favored for our Elves player in general, which we were saying at the beginning. That looks like maybe that's what was sideboarded.
Which seems like that taking those cards out seems.
Terminus, yeah, because Dress Down we saw in the main of the game 1. I definitely think.
I disagree with taking those out. I think that card's just incredibly powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the fact that with your Ponder, with your Brainstorms, being able to, say, even if the Terminus gets into your hand, setting yourself up for, a way to wipe the board for a single white. I just find that hard to believe.
You can set yourself up, so like if you know the Terminus is on top, and the end step you can cast the Dress Down, which will turn off the Wirewood and the Ranger, and then you can board wipe them.
That would be fun.
That seems really good.
Yeah, you almost put them to the test of, hey, are you willing to pick up your guys in response to this? No? All right, I caught him. And unlike before where we saw the Terminus, he was able to rescue a couple cards and rebuild from it.
And really those cards that he rescued are the ones that got him the game.
Oh, yeah. Definitely interesting. That's what I like about Legacy. I don't know, is Legacy your favorite format of all of them?
It's becoming one of my favorite. It's probably becoming my favorite format in general. I always was a Modern guy, but when I got into Legacy like 2 years ago, there's just a lot of depth, a lot of nuanced play.
Just despite, even if you know all of the players, sometimes the rock, paper, scissors, how they match up against each other, or a new card can come out and suddenly shake up what you used to know. Elves, maybe in the past against this, where you're trying to play towards that one natural order, and they had the force of will for it. Now, once you have Allosaurus Shepherd, that completely changes that dynamic that did not exist before.
Yeah, of course. Now you have, instead of the 4 natural orders and the 2 hoofs, so you have 6 threats. They're doing a little rock, paper, scissors action.
Oh, I love it. That's how I do mine.
Now you have a total of 10 lethal threats because you play the 4 Allosaurus Shepherds too.
True. Yeah, do you think it really needed... So it already had the uncounterability and your other green spells to also have that kind of dinosaur overrun?
I think it would have been fine if it said, this spell is uncounterable, and had all the text on it.
Yeah.
But the fact it protects all spells, it's a little ridiculous. It kind of, that card alone shook up Legacy in a big way, because you could play. I used to play like a lot of Steel Stompy online, and so I played a lot of Chalice of the Void.
Oh yeah.
And they would just, I'd have them locked out, and then they would just rip the Allosaurus Shepherd, play it, and game's over.
Yep, breaks its way through the Chalice and brings its friends. All right, looks like we're finalizing. We have oh no, we're already fetching here.
Steven's fetching here, and the turn 1 fetch from the Bant Snow deck is always really telling. Mm-hmm. So if they have the basics, they're going to be going for the Ice Fang Codal pretty early. Or excuse me, if they have the Codal, they're going to be going for the basics early. Because he's doing this, he's probably just setting up for a long game. He doesn't have the Codal. Ponder.
Now, do you think this is also knowing the matchup? In the dark, would the Bam deck necessarily want to fetch a duel right away and be susceptible to Wasteland?
Depends on the context of your hand. If you have several other lands in hand, it seems fine. The deck does play a large quantity of lands compared to most decks, but I think there is some merit to just going for a basic island.
Okay.
But maybe he has a basic island in hand. Maybe he's got another white source in hand.
Feels like he has some redundancy to it.
Yeah.
Now, I did see there was a recent bit of technology. Zach Allen from RIW working with Brian Koval, they liked Bant, but they did not like how sometimes it struggles to close the game.
And Brian Koval's now doing Field of the Dead.
Yep, that's what they worked on, with having Field of the Dead as well as Light from the Loam, and I think like 1 or 2 Wastelands in your Bant deck. Just being able to have that inevitability / being able to close the game that sometimes makes Bant a little slow.
And I think that's where you want to be with this deck.
Mm-hmm.
I'm being honest. I think the number of games with this Bant deck, where you just go to turn 5, turn 6, turn 7, and you're just not really doing anything. You're just spinning your wheels.
Yeah.
And if your opponent ever like surgicals Uro,
Yeah, what are you going to do then?
yeah, you're kind of hosed at that point.
You're on the Jace train. So it looked like Steven forced a early Green Sun Zenith, which we had noted before is definitely the right way, or at least what we are thinking is a good way to approach it.
Yeah, if you're on the control deck, you have to do that because it makes them stumble on mana, and it gives you a little bit more time.
And I like what you pointed out before, saying it also removes the Green Sun from the deck by countering it, because normally as it resolves, it goes back in the deck, and it's just going to give you that many more shots at it later.
Yeah, and then when you play the Glimpse of Nature and you just start cycling through your deck, eventually when you hit that card, you're just in good shape.
I have had opponents that float 9 mana and Green Sun out a Craterhoof on me. That has happened.
Yeah, me too, unfortunately.
Yes, yes. This is our third Ponder already, it looks like.
And Steven's a little newer to Legacy too.
Okay.
So maybe he's just aggressively using his ponders to try and dig for maybe a counter spell or removal spell.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I would have used my third ponder so aggressively.
Well, until you kind of know the texture of how this particular game is going to play out. Like, that's what sometimes I'm willing to fire off that turn 1 Ponder because you know what your hand looks like and what your game plan is. But maybe in the dark, it's knowing at least what the matchup you're in is. Well, yeah, there's an Allosaurus Shepherd, so then shields down.
Yeah, it's kind of like using the argument about brainstorm, where you never want to brainstorm in the end step. You were talking with Steven earlier about just using it to just be mana efficient because he was short on mana.
True.
So there's when you're playing Legacy, these cards like Brainstorm and Ponder, there's a lot of context to how you have to play those cards. It's not as simple like in Modern where you have Opt. You just play the Opt just to cycle it out of your hand most times. Just look for something. You need to know the context of the game.
And even when there are, kind of these natural heuristics, you always play the card in a certain way, there's exceptions to every rule.
Correct. Steven's mana is actually pretty clunky and bad.
Yeah, Prismatic Ending was able to wipe away that Shepherd, but just a snow-covered forest to join.
Really needs another white source. I do see a Dress Down in his hand.
Okay.
That could be huge here, especially if Nate wants to start committing. Oh, here we go. He could do that line that we were talking about because he did not shuffle off the Ponder. Oh wait, but then he would draw. Oh, unless you put the third card deep.
Did we see a Terminus in those?
I don't believe I did, but he didn't shuffle and he has the Dress Down, so that play is on the table.
Theoretically, too, we could go to, because of how Dress Down is worded, if you play Dress Down in the end step, it will stick around for the duration of your own turn, and theoretically you could run an Uro out. You lose the life gain and the card draw, but you would not have to sacrifice it, and then you have a 6/6, but that might not be where you want to be facing however many cards. It looks like Nate has 2 or 3 in his hand.
I seen Endurance, I believe.
Okay.
In Steven's hand.
In Steven's hand?
Yeah.
Is that more a sideboard card?
They mainboard the Endurance.
Okay. Just as a protection against the graveyard deck.
Graveyard decks. It's just a 3/4 fly reach. So
that's just good against Delver.
Yeah, take down all the Delver cards. And Steven's going to proactively use his Dress Down. So by doing this, I'm assuming the Terminus is not on top.
No, because we won't be able to cast it. They have not given us an Angelic Spirit Guide yet.
Well, if he put the third card deep, he could. This would be the second card he's drawn.
Yep.
So the third card could have been the Terminus, but based on the context of play, I would assume not. If I was Nate, he's not getting a lot of value if he casts his creatures right now, but I think just getting him in play might be the route you want to go. He cannot be.
Was there a Dress Down?
Okay, so in the end step, bang, gone.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Card drawn for the turn. That's just stressed out Join in the graveyard.
Really love those sketch arts.
They like it's hard sometimes to make them out, but I mean when you're playing with it right in front of you, just that extra art style.
Yeah. For commentary purposes, it's actually quite difficult because like Fractured Sanity and Dress Down, if you told me to, from at a distance tell you which one is which, never be able to do it.
Yeah. But no, that is one of the things I found interesting that with all of the releases that are coming, just the variety of aesthetic purposes choices that people can have. Like maybe they like the sketch art, maybe they like the full art, maybe they like, you know, plain Jane. But that's fine. There's a little bit of something for everybody.
Now this main step brainstorm, I would say this is Stevens probably doesn't have an answer,
It doesn't have a next land.
yeah, or he doesn't have a land. I think I see an Uro in hand, which is not really where he wants to be. I think Nate only has one card in hand though, maybe two. Both, but he's running low on gas. Steven needs to really get something going, and sooner rather than later. I think, even if you put the shields down for a turn, I think it's worth getting Uro in the graveyard.
True. Because as of right now, that Nettle Sentinel will stay tapped when it goes to the Elves player turn unless they have more green spells.
Correct. And I think based on the context of if Steven had the Uro in hand, I think he should have did the play that we were talking about with the dress down in the end step to just cast it, just have a 6/6 in play. Yes, you're putting yourself vulnerable. Oh well.
We have another white source, but we also have a Caracas.
I think I see an Ice Fang Coil.
Okay.
That's not great right now.
No Death Touch, but I don't know. It could trade with a Personal Ranger if the symbiote lets it.
Okay, and he's just going with the play to just get the Uro. Put the shields down. Let's get a little life gain, a little cushion, and let's start going through the deck. Does he have our land?
So he had to go brainstorm deep.
Oh.
But.
And maybe this is why he did the main phase brainstorm, because he was missing a fetch land.
Mm-hmm. All right, so that Heritage Druid, untapping Nettle Sentinel.
It's 3 mana.
No, it's not, because Werewood Sentinel is
not
right. An elf. Is that an attack? That was an attack.
Okay. It's a Gaia's Cradle, so it looks like Nate is running off the top. And Steven cannot
that was the last card from Brainstorm. Yes.
He might just be passing the turn and holding up for an endurance.
Okay. That is one of the drawbacks of Caracas. Not being able to tap for blue or green is not going to help you get the Uro escaped, but you could do tricks with the first ability on the stack, picking it up multiple times.
Yeah, and I think the problem with this deck, like I was saying before, is the mana base is really awkward. Like you're trying to assemble enough snowlands for Ice Fang Coatl, but yet you have to assemble multiple colors very quickly.
True.
So you're opening yourself up to either having mana screw or you're opening yourself up to wasteland.
Coming in for 4.
This is I would snap off an endurance and block the Wirewood.
We're allowed to. There are no legendary elves. Tap to grass. Unless it's something else. Is this maybe only
this
the
is
snake?
maybe the Ice Fang Coatl, just to get that, quote unquote free block.
It does, but which would still trade with the symbiote because you can't untap. Oh,
you're right. He thought better of it. He's like, no, let's just get a creature in play that sticks. There'd be recurring block, which I like this.
And I think the most.
Yep, bang.
We agree that is the strongest threat over there.
That's for new players to Legacy. They have to realize those are the most dangerous cards in the Elf stack.
Yep.
The Elves, I mean, they're fine. They do generate a lot of mana. They draw you cards, but the Wirewood Symbiote, the Quarian Ranger, just let you just go off.
any of those things that let you start reusing. Stephen looking at his options here.
Another brainstorm.
That was a brainstorm.
That's not good. He was locked last time.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe this is the same game that three ponders have already been used.
Yeah.
So your option is to just ponder shuffle it out.
Mm-hmm.
I think I see a prismatic ending in hand.
Okay.
Yeah, that's definitely an ending.
Okay.
And I think I see a misty in hand as well.
All right. So this
So
one.
he's got some cards. Putting is the second card on top.
Theoretically, having fetch lands lets him not draw into that if he wants to, vice versa. But I would expect to see at least a land hit play here.
Yeah, Steven really needs to get that last. He needs another blue for the Uro. Oh, we're getting a beautiful
Upgrade.
That's a prismatic vista.
Okay. That is our basic one, but this is a deck that plays multiple of the snow basics to satisfy our elf, or I should say the Coatl.
It looks like he's going to do
Prismatic
that
ending?
Yep. Ooh, I do see a Mind Sculptor in Steven's hand. That's excellent.
Okay.
And he's going after the, I believe it's the Nettle Sentinel.
I mean, with having two Heritage Druids there, it doesn't really do you good to pick one or the other, and then also a mana generating on the Birchflow range.
Yeah, you're by if you want to pick the Heritage Druid, you got to get rid of the other one.
Yeah.
And the Birch Lore is just fine. The Birch Lore is a bad Quarian Ranger at this point, or a bad Heritage Druid at this point.
Yeah.
So I think just getting rid of the one that lets you just reoccur value, definitely correct.
So
that is another
it
Heritage
looks
Druid.
like, yeah, and I can't quite make the other one.
That is a Quarian Ranger.
Yep. So now we have the ability to pick up Forest, but land drops are not necessarily what the Elves deck was lacking.
He's looking right now for a Order or a
Allosaur Shepherd would let him
Shepherd would
upgrade
be really
the team.
good. Yep. Yeah, I think those are that's it. If he gets
Snake.
if he rips a Crater Hoof off the top, he can get 3 creatures in for big damage.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like did he draw the card off the top?
I don't know why
I think he drew.
Oh, he cracked
the Vista.
Well,
I think he drew the card off the top, so he liked the card on top. Wants to keep that.
The next one to be clear.
Yep. Wants the next one to be a fresh one.
Okay. No Death Touch quite active yet. We've got 2 other snow sources.
But at this point in time with Icefang Coatl, it's actually much better because if he has a second one in hand, just casting it gives both of them Death Touch. Yeah,
having
they
them
see
look
each
at
other.
each other. One of those ones where it feels like how close is he to stabilizing, and yet
He's
all it
close.
takes is a.
Nate needs to find. I think if I were Nate, the one card I would be hoping to rip off times is the Shepherd.
Okay. This
just
looks like
because.
Uro coming.
Oh no, this is a Mind Sculptor.
Okay. Yeah, you can't have the Crocus for the Uro.
Bang.
Jace, bigger than all, and
Fate Seal.
going
I
after
like
the
that.
top card because he knows
I think that
you're
was
not going to come get me.
a natty order.
So yeah, we might very well be close to that point of I've kind of got this. I just need to fade certain cards coming off the top of your deck. So looking at the top of the deck and deciding what's allowed to be played. Triad Arbor.
Actually, not a bad draw. Not bad. This makes it so if he gets a hoof off the top, then he can just cast the hoof and still have like 5 attackers coming in.
Sure.
And Steven's hand looks pretty bare. I see a dress down, drop, something else.
So
This is
this
Uro.
might be the Uro. Yep.
Yeah. Steven needs to get on the let's close the game out.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're fate sealing your opponent, you need to really put the pressure on now. What's really awkward is that the elves player could just, at this point, just chump block the Uro and just try to just naturally rip something off the top.
Mm-hmm.
Which there's a lot of cards that Steven have to bottom. We saw one shepherd, so there's 3 shepherds, 4. No, he countered a green sun. So there's
Yep.
8. There's 8 hits in the deck.
Okay.
At this point, we can say there's about 35, 40 cards in the deck. So about 25% of his cards are live.
One thing that's interesting with the current board setup is the lack of trample from Uro. The Quirion Ranger could let Dryad Arbor block and then pick it up. And sure, he's going to be gaining life and drawing a card,
Yep.
but nothing's really, he's not really losing too much. Is this offensive because he wants to pick it up? Is this?
I know I said there was 8 hits in the deck, but I also forgot about the fact that there is the elf that draws a card.
Yes, true.
Yeah, so that's actually a card you got to bottom too. So really, we're looking at 12 cards that are live.
All right, Uro coming in. Draw in a land and some life. It's weird that he attacked and did the Dryad.
I'm not
But
sure
not
why he's
doing on
not
defense.
blocking. Yeah, I would do the block bounce.
And then I saw Jace look, but I did not see if Jace left it or sent it.
All right. And Nate's seen enough.
It's possible he let him keep it, but
I think this actually is kind of an early concession for me personally.
especially with the defensive trick with the Dryad Arbor.
Right,
He
yeah.
saw it on offense, but to be able to do it on defense too, you can kind of pad that life total.
He got a little tunnel vision, didn't see that line. But, yeah, like I said, he had 12 cards that need to be bottomed, which means that more often than not, his deck is going to be a fresh look off the top.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, are there times you're going to hit a forest or a glimpse of nature? Yes, but you were live for 3 more attacks, and that Jace was not ultimating for another 3 or 4 turns.
True. So that would have been a lot more redraw chances.
And if you find any of those 1 pieces that aren't Allosaur Shepherd, and then your opponent is about to close out the game, then you can reveal that you drew the Allosaur Shepherd. Because I would hold it until I draw a second piece of interaction because the Shepherd can protect them.
True. So we saw. I'm kind of curious how Steven will choose to sideboard potentially different than we saw the first time around.
Yeah, because we saw the dress down. Dress down in every game that's been played is incredibly good.
Just especially with the amount of utility creatures that elves have, like all of the extra text, like we were saying before, on these elves, or just all of the creatures. But yeah, Terminus. I guess it depends on what exactly is the rest of the sideboard. Coatl is probably just not where you want to be.
If I were Steven, I would probably cut the Coatl. I think your opponent's going to respect the fact that you are a snow deck, and if you can represent Death Touch, your opponent's not going to be attacking with these little weenies. But really, I mean, he knows you play Endurance. So.
You can trade a 1/1. Like, the 1 toughnesses, like, that might be enough, but I think there are potentially, if the extra termises are what is in the sideboard. Now, maybe that's what we saw. Would it have been an extra dress down and termises in the sideboard that came in?
Perhaps. I think I'd have to. I'm not sure.
We'd have to see. We'd have to see the exact
sideboard.
Yeah. But that could be entirely plausible that those were the elements of the sideboard that came in. And so, if so, what we would take out for that, I would think coatls would be kind of high on my list. I want my removal. I want my counters. Is now, even though the counters might be weaker in the face of Allosaurus Shepherd, that's why we have the removal to turn them back on.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, Dress Down is one that I remember one of the first times I saw it, and I'm just like, okay, yeah, that's interesting, sure.
It's impressed me more and more.
The more I see it, the thing that really, I want to say impressed me, but I should say saddened me, is I had a Karn Echoes build that I had played previously to like in the challenges and stuff that I almost won, but to update that with Urza Saga, because sometimes one of the issues with the Blue Echoes deck is you would kind of run out of gas, and allowing Urza Saga to kind of fill that quote dead air with XXs was pretty sweet.
Right.
I had 2 Karnstrucks, and I had set something else up, and I went to swing, and my opponent dressed on me, and all my constructs died. That I was like, oh, that's a good one.
It's a blowout. It's a blowout. I've recently only been playing decks that just play Urza Saga, just because those are the kind of decks I just prefer to play.
Mm-hmm.
But Dress Down's just it's a beating.
It's such a compact answer. It replaces itself, and if you're in a bad matchup, it pitches to Force of Will. Ugh. I say that as somebody that likes Force of Will, but still, ugh. Yeah, I would say Urza Saga fit into the wheelhouse. Even that was the wheelhouse I was in even before Urza Saga came around.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you guys were watching me play Painter earlier. The Urza Saga just is so huge for that deck.
Oh, the silver bullets you can find?
I only play 2 cards that are searchable off the Urza Saga. The Petals and the Grindstone. But those are really all you need.
One thing I would wonder, what do you think about Lion's Eye Diamond there?
Old Painter lists always played 1 Lion's Eye Diamond.
Especially the other reason I'm thinking about it is for
Great Creator.
Well, not only do you have Karn, but the synergy with your welder shenanigans to be able to dump stuff out of your hand, because I heard that sometimes you play a Bolas Citadel.
Yeah, in my old list I was doing the Bolas of Citadel with the one Lion's Eye Diamond. You can fetch it out with the Saga, and then just put it into play.
Yeah,
it's insane.
For my stream, I take suggestions from my subscribers, and one of them wanted to see Bolas' Citadel and Legacy because it is a very popular vintage card. And I was like, well, how am I going to do that? And I ended up playing a welder deck and was able to have it on turn 2 and win with it. I mean, that's like one of the only games I won, but it was so good.
In the Painter deck, having access to welder and then turn to engineer to pitch it.
Exactly. Well, that's where it had to be. So, all right, it looks like. Is that off a fetch land?
Turn 2, Dryad Arbor.
Off a fetch land.
Off a fetch land, yep.
That looks like he started with an Allosaurus Shepherd and
ending, yep.
It was either ending or swords. Because it's definitely exile, but I think ending makes more sense for it to be tapped main phase.
Yeah, because you can do some real shenanigans if you have swords and your opponent's going in on the Allosaurus Shepherd, or if you swords the Shepherd and then you play your counterspell.
Yep.
Because your opponent gets a little bit too comfy.
Yeah. For sure.
Piece of force. What did you force? I apologize.
The Nettle Sentinel that came in. So it looks like the turn was play a fetch land, crack it for a Dryad Arbor, and try to follow up with a Nettle Sentinel who was forced.
I think that's a pretty loose force of will there.
Depending on what the blue card was pitched, I mean, if it were a cantrip or anything like that, I think we would rather search for the removal spell or the wider removal spell, the sweeper type effects that we now have.
The reason I say it's a little loose is because you know your opponent just fetched down a Dryad Arbor, right? So like they played the land for turn, and the land they've got is Summoning Sick, so there's no more mana being generated on this turn.
Yeah.
Nettle Sentinel's only really good when
there's
a lot of mana is being
generated.
generated.
Yeah, I would agree.
So I mean, if you're worried for another Allosaurus Shepherd, perhaps, but I think you gotta. I don't think that's playing scared. It's playing to stay alive, not playing to win. playing to win would just let that resolve and just go off from there.
Glimpse.
Yep.
Brainstorm.
And he's probably looking for a force. And again, it comes down to
We blew our force on a metal sentinel.
Blew it too early. Oh, that was a brainstorm off the top, or a terminus off the top off the brainstorm. Yeah, so they're discussing how that works. He reveals it.
You reveal it as it's the first card you drew, delaying a miracle's trigger. This is much easier on Magic Online where you can just click it.
Yep. So you're revealing that you've drawn it. You're not casting it at this point. He could actually just put it right on top and say, I'm going to pass on the miracle trigger.
Sure. Like you have to reveal that it was that first card drawn, but then the question is, he's trying to be polite and reveal that the miracle is there, but like you're saying, he could very well just leave it on top, and then when it's time to
resolve it, then you need to cast it from your hand for that
Exactly.
cost. So you can do some really cheeky thing with Brainstorm where you reveal the terminus, and then you just go, okay, I'm going to put these two cards on top, and then your opponent can then respond to the trigger.
Yep.
And that card may not be in your hand anymore.
When you're done, right? When it comes time to
So
resolve.
that was really cheeky with Vendilion Click. We're seeing a lot of play.
Yeah.
And what else? What else can do that? I used to play Modern with Nimble Obstructionist, so you could do that.
The cycle, yep.
Yep, Stifle, yep. So, but yeah, he thinks better. He's just going to cast it. I think this is a little.
So floating 2 green.
I don't know if I agree with this terminus.
I think.
Okay. He's forcing.
And then went back and forced. Okay.
He's going to play a Elvish Visionary
to use
card.
up that 2 green. Yep. And we're done.
So I actually like the Elves position right here. Like both players are running low on gas, but the Elves player has more really busted draws off the top. He's got another Gaia's Cradle in hand.
Okay.
So if he just gets 1 more creature, 2 more creatures, then suddenly he can just pop off.
Yeah. And something off to that might be another glimpse.
Looks like
the way he played it off to the side, like this is on its way to resolving. So one.
Okay. Well.
Now the new Cradle is going to tap for 2.
And if he has the Heritage Druid, we're in business.
Mm-hmm.
And he does.
And he does. So draw a card, still have a green floating. Is that an attack?
Looks like it. That's a pretty lackluster turn for Elves.
I mean, he was able to get a few things out there, but with the option of going up to 4 green, maybe just no more creatures.
Yeah, if I was Steven, I would be very excited. Because really, when I'm playing these kind of decks, and my opponent casts a Glimpse of Nature and then just starts playing cards and drawing them, and then they reveal Heritage Druid, I'm about ready to just click the concession button, just pick my cards up. But the Elves does have a pretty, I'm not going to say a high fail rate, does have a considerable fail rate.
It is greater than 0.
1 glimpse. If they've got 2 glimpses, it's almost, the fail rate is almost non-existent.
Yeah, that is. I mean, they have all these lands in their deck. Maybe if they just drew them. I mean, my opponents never do. But
Me neither.
It's possible.
I'm just dead all the time. Okay, so this Uro is live on the next turn? Yes. We do have the requisite double green, double blue. I thought that was a scrub land again. Savannah and scrub land look way too similar.
There is not a lot going on in the art. Now, had Uro already been played, or is this is the flashback of Uro?
This is a ponder we're trying to do here. But
okay. Did Uro already happen?
Yeah,
that's why he's back to 19.
Uro's resolved.
Okay.
Yep. Uro's resolved. Steven's setting up for his next turn. Drew a card.
All right.
Didn't shuffle. Telling.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I think if you're playing elves, you start going off. I
you
don't
need
care what's
to.
on top of my opponent's deck. I'm gonna try and dead you. So this might be a Thought Seize in his hand, because we did see in the last match he did side in the Thought Seizes.
And I think that's the right way to do it.
Oh, I think he just declared Thought Seize because he just pitched the Brainstorm.
Finish my shuffling. Yep. Life
Little
payment.
shortcutting. Yep. Bam. Thought Seize.
Wipe that out.
And that's 4.
Come in for 4. Do I have a green spell to untap? No.
Okay, so now we have
Green, green, blue, blue.
I was gonna say I don't know what he's thinking about. There's not much that could go wrong here. I don't even think if our opponent was to play a natural order, I think we still live the natural order.
So we're up to 18, plus we can absorb 6 of it. Natural order, replacing any one of those, well, replacing a 1/1, would be +3.
So even if he has a creature in a hand and goes natural order,
I could see 17 coming.
Yeah.
Which he would survive.
I mean, granted, he wouldn't be in a good spot, but there's
Okay, say this gets Dryad Arbor.
that is total. It is. Okay, so that's
Dryad Arbor.
6 access to 6 mana right now.
So then it would be +12. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, +12 is 21, which is lethal.
Yep. So if he's got the natural order.
If he has natural order, this is lethal, which we won't say too loud so they don't hear us.
Unless he's got the force in hand.
Does he have 2 cards? Okay, he drew his card for the turn, played Uro to give himself a second card.
Okay, let's see what he's got. So 4. So yeah, it's 4 mana off the cradle. So it's requisite mana for natural order.
And then also untap your Nettle Sentinel for
and we sack the Dryad Arbor. So then the hoof is 9. Visionary 5, so 14. 20 off the Heritage Druid, and then 26. So you absorb 6.
So I counted.
So 20. Either way, dead.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, +12 is. I got 21 total.
Oh, you know what? I went one short on the hoof. You're right. It's 20.
Still lethal. How much can we get off a green sun here? 1, 2, 3, 4. We just played that, so 5. No, okay, no.
If we do for green sun, here's a play we could do. We could green sun for 2, green sun for 1. Grab the Wirewood Symbiote. And
pick up the
Visionary and start going off from there. And it was a green
sun. Okay, so that was our decision.
And I think he was making sure how much mana he could produce. Okay, so Shepherd. Okay.
So now
I don't like this play, if I'm being honest, because he untaps the Sentinel, he can attack with 3 creatures, make them all 5/5s, right?
I believe it requires 6 to be able to power up your team. So right now, that Cradle taps for 5, the Dryad Arbor summoning sick.
Yeah.
Now, you could tap the Allosaurus Shepherd along with... Oh, no, just we're passing here. With the plan to go into next turn to have
based on
20 power.
If you're just going to pass, I don't really like this line at all, because if you go Wirewood Symbiote, we can bounce it this turn, play it again, draw a card. So
and that is also our blocker to bounce.
Correct. So then he attacks, then we bounce it in response. Play it on the next draw card, bounce it, draw it, play it again. So we're already up.
Out of light.
But I mean, Nate's a good Elves player, but I just don't. Maybe he's saying I'm going to swing lethal on the next turn if you attack.
Well, if he would attack, he would go up to 18 life, but then would have 21 coming at him.
No, the life total on the right is wrong. The die says 18.
Okay, that puts him at 21. I still have 21 coming at you.
Yep. So it is lethal.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't.
21 barring removal spell, etc., etc.
Yeah, I think there's too many things that could go wrong with this line.
Agreed. Another one, prismatic ending. We've opened ourselves up to it. Sorcery speed removal. Wirewood Symbiote is also the same sitting duck, but we could have drawn extra cards out of that.
We would have, by going for the Wirewood, and see, no. So if we got the Wirewood Symbiote,
we would have drawn at
it's
least
the same,
one or
same
two
scenario
more
with
cards.
this, but, we can get two of them. But we would have been able to draw another card to replace the Green Sun.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually would have been up one, because the Green Sun replaced up the creature.
Yep.
And then the next turn, we go up another one.
2, 3, 4.
That is a Quirion Ranger, I believe. Looks like Quirion Ranger.
Yep. Forced.
Yeah. Now Steve is in cruise control.
Yep. I'll gain my life. I'll put the pressure on you, and I'll just keep drawing cards. It's hard to overrate drawing cards because it's just that many more options. How many is this? The first or second Dryad Arbor that we've already seen?
This is the first, I believe. So he could fetch out a Dryad Arbor to block.
Most lists usually play 2.
I'm kind of just curious why he just keeps attacking. He's trying to. So I guess he's trying to keep his opponent's life to a minimum. So if he rips the hook,
he's effectively trading off the life gained by.
He's doing.
He's gaining one.
Losing his opponent is losing one per combat cycle because he's attacking with a Nettle Sentinel. That's 2.
Yeah, I'll make that trade. So yeah, he could trade. He could fetch out a blocker, which is what it appears to be happening. So it's top card. Oh.
It was the top card.
So it's the top card. Now, here's the thing is, I fetch it out. I move to blocks. You have a sword. So then... But
Correct.
Gets around prismatic ending. Well, you couldn't prismatic ending the land, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
It's non-land. Now, one thing, this looks like a real beating, but I still think the Elves Elves is favored in this match. Okay, there's some visionaries. We're still somewhat in the game, I guess. Natural off the top is pretty good.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, plus 12 would have been 21.
It's still lethal.
Still lethal.
Still lethal if it's natural order. Okay, here it is. Okay, sure. But like I was saying, so I think the Elves deck is still favored in this matchup. I think when Dan was playing this deck, he was just going for just value and stuff.
Yep.
And taking care of the spells that matter most. But here, Steven has been taking care of the utility creatures.
Mm-hmm.
So he's, obviously it's Steven is just playing a much better game against this deck. He knows the matchup kind of thing.
And that just helps. One of the things I've found the most in Legacy that sometimes your familiarity and stuff can tilt that balance of, let's say, a deck matchup. Just because on paper the decks might look a certain way,
right.
Knowing what to play around, knowing focusing on what matters can really steal percentage points. And if it's a 60-40 that you can make a 55-45, that's all that better.
But, so the elf still can, if they just rip a hoof or a natural order, so that they still just win if it's uncountered.
Yeah, like as bad as this is looking.
Elves
I mean, as long as it's not force,
The best draw for Nate right now, in my opinion, would be Wirewood Symbiote.
Agreed, like 1,000%, because then it's
that
you start accruing all
is
the
insane with Wirewood Symbiote.
Mm-hmm.
Having some mana, casting. The dress down. Ooh.
Is this an upkeep dressed up?
It is.
Yep. Prevent general
Just
nonsense.
prevent some shenanigans. you're discussing the interaction between Dress Down and Dryad Arbor, I do believe
Is
it
it
actually loses the mana.
Is it the
Producing
the
ability.
mana ability
This is
of
all
it being a
creatures lose all
creature?
abilities, and it is a
Creature land.
land. Now this attack, I mean, your opponent's drawn a lot of cards.
Yeah. You have to think they.
If he finds the swords, like the ending won't do it here, but if he finds swords, he just cleans up the Dryad Arbor.
We've seen multiple endings. Have we seen a swords yet?
We have not. So I'm assuming there's 4 left in the pile.
Yargle's lurking.
Ooh, that's a good looking plains right there. Not a fan of these new snow-covered lands they got. These old Cold Snap ones in foil are just stunning. Big fan.
Yeah, I have been playing for a while. I still have Ice Age ones, but I do appreciate the ones we have at the bottom of the screen there, the Cold Snap versions. The Modern Horizon ones, the full art, like I like that.
I'm not a fan of the full art game anymore.
Yeah.
Too many full arts.
Like that was the thing, that they lost their specialness. That when it was a once in a while, not every other set.
Yeah.
So Steven at 12, I feel like that life total should be higher.
No, he's been, because Nate has just been chipping in constantly.
So this is still the gain 3, take 4, gain 3, take 4, gain 3, take 4. Like so, we've slowly worked our way down.
So he's just trying to keep him in hoof range, which I agree. That's exactly what you need to do. But if Steven's at 20 or he's been at 16, so if he goes to 19, if we just hold up blocks, he's still dead to a hoof.
True. So have to block here. Would he have sideboarded Endurance to deal with the Uro graveyard type stuff? I'm just wondering,
I'm
like
not sure if I'll sideboard that.
The way he paused there, like it almost looked like it could have been an Endurance. But it would have been interesting to have seen that come in, I guess. Is what
and that Nettle Sentinel should be tapped still. He did attack with it.
I would agree.
But I think Nate just ripped Thoughtseize off the top. And he has a Gaia's Cradle in hand, it looks like.
We might also be talking through the diminishing returns of losing these creatures. And
yeah, he needs to at least stay at 3 creatures minimum.
Because that's our 21 math.
Actually, now that he natural orders and goes for the hoof. Hoof is a 5/5 base. Goes to 8, 12, 16. Still lethal.
Well, we have to lose one of these creatures.
Right. So
we're
the hoof
getting
counts
plus.
Itself.
Yep. But we'd be getting +9. So 5, 6, 7, 8, +9, 17. Okay, still have lethal.
Still lethal on board.
Yep. And that one is. That one should be tapped from last turn.
Not sure what's going on here.
I believe this was just a single attack for 1, but now we have. We're snapping back.
Yeah.
Seems like okay. There was Yargle. We missed him from before. So, Steven steps into the role and is able to win the match.
Cleanly, too.
Now, it did seem like Elves the first time around maybe drew a little stronger.
Yeah,
I feel like there were some decision points that could have, maybe made things a little bit better.
Correct.
Just like the Wirewood symbiote, letting him play defense with the early scoop in that first game.
Yeah. Definitely. He was not using his creatures to block and bounce at full advantage. Steven Taxman Dykeman's here.
I told everybody what was going to happen if I went over.
Well, we were talking. We made a comment about how he natural ordered.
Yeah.
And got an Allosaur Shepherd to threaten lethal on the following turn.
Sure.
We said that was a mistake.
Okay.
If he had Green Sunned for Wirewood symbiote, And now one thing is when he scooped early in the first game against you,
Yeah.
he sent in a Dryad Arbor and you blocked, and he was like, "Oh, I'll use my Quirion Ranger to pick up my forest and replay it."
Oh, sure. Yeah, I remember
But he
that.
wasn't doing that defensively.
He could do it on defense,
Yeah.
and not have to take the damage from your arrow.
Right.
So
that would have at least made the game longer.
Yeah,
I still think I probably win that game.
Well,
Well,
you had started fate sealing him, but Andrew was able to kind of like figure out how many live outs he still had, because not only does he have the key cards you're worried about, he has the redraws from things like Elvish Visionary and things. So he had maybe a few more options.
He
in that
definitely
first
has
game.
Yeah, it was well above the 25% of his deck was live.
And then that second game, like we were saying, the Green Sun Zenith that went for Allosaurus Shepherd, if instead it went for a Wirewood Symbiote there, he could already get a draw or a redraw off the Visionary, and once again have himself set up to stop your Uro beats. Now you had
I had the ending.
You had
the ending was hitting whatever one he got.
He's already
he gets to be
he's 2 cards up from that, so that definitely could have been a thing.
That could have been very important for sure. That's some good insight there. Yeah. But yeah, that snow deck's a lot of fun. It's a very fun deck to play. I've really been enjoying playing that. I played that last week too. It's a fun one.
That was one of the things we were interested in. Is so one of the things I brought up is sometimes you have a deck matchup like the rock paper scissors or whatever, and maybe something is 70-30, 60-40, etc. But sometimes the familiarity, especially in Legacy, I found, knowing a particular matchup or just your familiarity maybe with blue control decks, because what it looked like is you were focused on different aspects of the matchup than we saw the first Emperor.
Yeah.
That just one of those kind of being able to see the real threat cards are those utility elf creatures, being able to it seemed like you had to focus more on that as opposed to what we saw the first time around.
Yep. Not only that, too, the snow deck actually has some really good sideboard cards. Meddling Mage was going to be a really fun one because I was going to name Glimpse. I also brought in Narset for Glimpse as well, and Hull Breacher as well. So when he casts that first card and tries to do the trick on the
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Use that for the not to stop the drawing.
Yeah, Hull Breacher's especially sweet because you get a body and you get mana off of that trigger from the Glimpse. So
we're going to be having blue-black ninjas versus snow.
Okay.
This next match.
Now, what do you guys think about that? Is that going to be one of those cases where the ninjas deck is going to put out a threat and try to defend it, and kind of different than how we saw elves trying to be that kind of combo-y deck?
Right.
Is that going to tilt things in favor? Because I think we agreed that elves should have been favored against the control deck. It just worked out.
I think slightly.
I think
it's close.
This matchup.
That would make sense.
Because Changeling Outcast and Ornithopter effectively are the same thing as Mega Man. They're on. You have to answer them immediately.
Yeah.
If you don't, you're threatened to just draw.
They snowball. They snowball really fast.
So a lot of that is probably tied with once you have that first turn threat, the ninjutsu not being something that you can actively counterspell on the stack. You would have to have like a stifle or whatever ability to it.
Yeah.
That it's going to effectively sneak in there like a ninja, and then from there, that's when they're going to protect.
Yeah. If Noah has some of these really busted draws that ninjas can have, if they have a turn 1 Changeling Outcast and an Ornithopter, can really snowball very quickly.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I'm curious to see how, because obviously this is Sean's deck, and I believe Sean's playing Bant, so I'm curious if he'll play it really well.
Or these are the choices I made for a certain reason, as opposed to picking up somebody else.
Right, exactly. Yeah, Dan not only not very experienced in Legacy, but also just not really a control player, I don't think.
Torpor Orb?
That is Torpor Orb.
Nice.
I myself am sideboarding Torpor Orb and Painter as well right now.
That's interesting. I didn't see the Torpor Orb when I was flicking through the cards.
It was in his pocket.
Oh.
No.
Who knows where it was?
I found Torpor Orb is an interesting sideboard card against Death and Taxes.
Yep. Really nuts against TNT,
as
actually.
Like a good silver bullet for Doomsday.
Because it stops the Oracle.
It stops the Oracle.
So they kind of just lose if they don't pick their pile.
Especially a lot of times
around
they aren't necessarily able to, they're going to have their counter spells and things like that, but sometimes once something's in play, they can't necessarily deal with
Especially
it.
blue-black, because they're a
Yeah,
blue-black deck, right? And blue-black traditionally just can't really beat artifacts ever. I mean, it's just such a hard permanent type to deal with. That got a little help with Pyrika's Libation, I believe, in one of the more recent sets. It's an edict for artifacts, I think, if I remember correctly. Actually, it might only be enchantments. It still might miss
I think
artifacts.
it's creature and
It is
creature and or enchantment.
Oh,
it is.
It's from Theros, so it's enchantment.
Yeah, it's creature enchantment. So yeah, that's still not an artifact.
What was interesting is the rise of that caused, and Dressdown as well, actually caused Doomsday to make a change on their own and started having the Shelldock Isle Emrakul
Yeah.
faction that you make your pile that way, and then suddenly, oh no, I don't get my Oracle trigger 15. And like it's an interesting pivot for them in response to somebody else's pivot.
Now, is there any argument to do the Lab Maniac thing again? Because they used to do that at one point.
I think it's a little soft.
Too soft now?
Yeah. Well, it's also 3 mana.
It is.
Compared to Oracle's 2 mana.
Sure.
And
so it changes how.
Changes the map.
I see.
Also,
okay.
Once Oracle hits play, it creates a trigger. So even if it's killed.
Yes, I'm well aware of that interaction.
Being at 0 life still wins. Whereas I put my Lab Maniac and I try to draw,
and then I die.
You remove it,
yeah.
well then you're dead.
Yeah, makes sense.
So, Oracle just being a complete upgrade.
Yes.
Is
Oracle is a really stupid card. It really is, man.
Among others.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely don't think they had the whole combo. Like when they printed the card, they were not thinking about how it would end up being used. I don't think.
I believe I heard something like it wasn't exciting enough, and so they felt like they needed to tack on win the game.
I see.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild because in a blue devotion deck, which is what that card seemingly was printed to be for, is some sort of weird blue devotion deck.
Well.
It was pretty exciting. A Scry 7 for 2 mana is still quite darn good on a 1/3. It's definitely exciting enough for me. I don't know about other people, but
early on, it was actually slotting into Legacy Merfolk and being played with Paradigm Shift and old Weatherlight card.
Yeah.
For 1 and a blue, you basically exile your graveyard and flip your deck into your graveyard.
Okay.
Or actually, you switch places. Your graveyard becomes your library becomes your graveyard.
Okay.
And so doing that in a deck with a lot of blue pips, you can just, play a Curse Catcher, play a Lord, play a whatever, boom. It's a aggro kill.
And now, Andrew, so this is kind of the start you were saying you should avoid in Ninjas, is just the turn 1, play the Thopter Foundry. No Ornithopter, no Changeling Outcast. A little awkward. And then he did get a good Daze.
Not only that, but the Daze was good.
But it turned him back. Now he's back mana, which could be a threat.
A threat on turn 1.
Right. So now he's potentially just going to fall behind.
I actually like the minute that he just went Underground Sea, Retrofitter, go. Bant is in a really good spot.
I agree.
I mean, Ninja deck doesn't do anything.
I'm not super worried if I'm the Bant player now.
The Ninja deck needs a snowball.
Yeah, you need to have that explosive turn 1. And this is, again, a lot of our players on our team we're not great at Legacy yet. We have a lot to learn, a lot of us.
Quite a few players that aren't familiar with the Legacy format.
Yeah.
So I myself, the Ninja deck was the deck that I picked up and learned.
Yeah, this is like your thing.
Yeah. And this now Noah's got a little something going on.
Because now he can make a 1/1 too, right?
It's
so now he has.
He can make a 1/1 or a 4/4.
Or a 4/4. I see.
Now, if I'm Noah, I want to keep that Ornithopter in play.
Right, because it's just a great thing to keep ninjutsuing off of, right? It's just so free.
One thing that the Ninja deck has that all these other decks that splash the Retrofitter don't have is Ninjas plays a full set.
Sure.
So if you get 2, 3 of these things in play, it snowballs.
You can start doing a lot of crazy stuff.
For 3 mana, you can have a 4/4.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Every turn.
Yeah. So we'll have to see what Sean is going to do here. He's up to 3 mana now. But yeah, Sean now is in a little bit of a scary position just because there's going to be a 1/1, there's going to be an Ornithopter, there are multiple threats now starting to build up.
And worthy of mention is Yuriko is a dead card right now.
Okay.
Yuriko doesn't do anything because of Caracas.
Oh, that's a legend.
So it blinks Yuriko. So not necessarily a shutout. You can use Yuriko as if you play right and you can force your opponent to tap their mana awkwardly, you can get 1 chip in with Yuriko. But
which is some cards.
Which is cards, but you need to have other ninjas in play to really capitalize on that.
That's fair.
Because getting just one card off Yuriko doesn't really do anything.
Yeah.
The way you win with ninjas, you need to get a real good hit in with Yuriko and brainstorm your force wills to the top. And then when you flip those, your opponent's taking 5.
Fair enough.
I used to play Tombstalker in my ninjas deck, actually.
Ooh,
Because,
that's pretty cool.
It was a really, it would be replaced nowadays with Murktide Region, obviously.
Yeah.
But really cheap, big threat, and if you show it off Yuriko, big 7 to the face. Pretty powerful.
That's pretty neat. Pretty neat. Have you since added a Murktide to the list or not right now?
Not.
Okay. Not interested in Big Idiot right now?
No.
Okay.
No, I think that's not where you want to be. Noah's using my list right now that has like snuff outs and pushes.
Sure.
You got to focus on just getting
Killing
rid of the
Ragavans and DRCs. Yeah, okay.
But I think Noah. I think Sean's just passing here. I think Noah's just going to make a servo.
Yeah, I would imagine. Seems pretty good. I mean, just recursive 1/1s are going to keep chipping in and getting damage, and that'll be a big deal in the long run, especially. Now, obviously, Sean has Terminus, so at some point we can find a Terminus and set that up, but we'll see what happens here. We will see what happens here.
And Sean, very wise to the fact that Ornithopter is a huge threat. Just play Swords and Plowshares on it.
Yes.
But Prox is down for a turn.
It is.
But the using swords on Ornithopter is crazy huge because they get 0 life off of it, and Ornithopter's a huge threat in the early game.
Okay.
So this Brainstorm is big if he's got a Yuriko. So then he can put his biggest card on top, and then just chip in, draw that card.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Or he could just be using a fetch land. Oh yeah, here we go. Play Delta, fetch away. Let's clean the top of our deck off, and then when we okay, here's the ninja. And if I were to know, I'd probably want to go for a swamp here.
Okay.
Okay, there you go. There's a swamp.
And he did. And he did.
Now, perfect. That's exactly what Noah wants. That's an ingenious infiltrator.
And that's the one that can't get Caracas.
That is the one. It's a non-legendary. Whenever any ninja hits,
draw a card.
So if you get multiple ninjas in play,
funny enough, I think this card's been in cubes a few times, Legacy and Vintage cubes on Moto.
Yep.
Pretty sure I've played that one.
This card is a strict upgrade to Ninja of the Deep Hours, which actually used to see some play.
Yep.
Not a lot of play, but some play.
Okay.
This card, because Yuriko came out before this card, this Ingenious Infiltrator.
Okay.
So the old iteration of Dimir Ninjas.
So do you think Jace just unsummons here if it resolves? It probably will, right?
Yeah.
But it does not resolve. So
big days.
Uh-oh.
Wow,
Sean's
that's huge.
Sean's in really big trouble right now.
No, this is where you can. Remember we mentioned about snowballing.
Yeah.
This is where it can start.
Yeah. Sean's drawing pretty poorly. He has another Jace in his hand. These are not the kind of cards you want in your hand
Play
without
the most broken counterspell in Legacy. Days.
Yeah. Jace is pretty embarrassing against a Daze, it turns out.
Bang, ponder.
At one time, Jace was better than all, but it is certainly.
Now I'm a little curious why Noah's pondering, post combat
instead of pre.
Because if he found like an Ornithopter and he has another, if he has more cards that he can just snowball off of, then that's what you want.
That makes sense.
Especially if you ponder and you see one card you really like, but you don't want to draw the third card, you can stack it so you draw a fetch land and then fetch.
Did Sean just force or what is? No, there's no force. I'm a little confused at what just happened. He was like, I don't know, but Noah seems to be in very good position here. This is definitely where Noah wants to be.
It looks like I would have to say, based on the way the state of play, I think Sean's a little bit more comfortable with Legacy. Noah's been making a lot of not necessarily bad, but he's sequencing things as you
incorrectly, which let's be honest with ourselves, it is bad.
But it's like
this is the mistakes we're making right now.
Surface level.
Yeah.
He might have. I think his experience is more in Modern.
Yes.
And things like that.
Yeah.
And it's just as you go deeper, Like,
this is what I was saying at the beginning, how as a team, a lot of us just need to get better at this format, and it's especially important right now because we're starting to come up on those NRG events, and Legacy is going to be relevant in multiple of those weekends.
And
so
if I were Noah, I would be, with that ponder specifically, I would be looking for one card, Changeling Outcast.
Okay.
It doubles up on the Retrofitter and with the ninjas.
Yeah.
True. Emergency mode of sacrifice my changeling. Ooh, use a Thopter, get a 4/4.
And you can also do some cute things where like you can block with it, or you can't block with it, but you can sack it to make a Thopter. You pay the 1 to sack to make a Thopter, and then tap 3 to untap the Retrofitter. To then, once you block with the Thopter, sack it to make the Construct.
Interesting. Okay. Very cool.
Because it's all creature types.
Yeah. Okay, so we got a little attack here. Now Sean's
got a force.
He does. He's casting Codal, and that seems pretty good. I mean, that'll be able to.
It doesn't currently.
There's a lot of spells in the ninja deck. He could have a snuff out, or a push.
Yeah.
And if I'm Noah, I
think
get rid of
Noah's thinking about forcing this. The way he's pausing, I feel like this is a force. I think that'd be a bad force, don't you? Seems a little aggressive. I don't know. Maybe it's not. What is this? A Brazen
Borrower. Okay.
Oh, he no longer has.
Doesn't have the requisite mana to recast.
Okay, that's pretty good. I like this.
Is this before he has drawn the card off the trigger?
I think
only
it is.
bounce it if it's in play.
He's doing it off the trigger to draw.
Okay. See, now I'm a little surprised Sean didn't force that, to be honest. I think that might have been worth fighting over. Oh, never mind. That's really good. I like this play from Sean. Love this play from Sean. And the dress down resolves. So Noah is not going to get any cards. And
but Noah can just sack this, or actually he can fetch right now and make another 1/1.
He could.
He's thinking different.
He's playing the Changing Outcast. Now, this is where Sean can really start to set up that Terminus. We're getting pretty deep in the deck now, and this is where the Bant deck starts to get dangerous. When it starts to get kind of deep in the deck like this, we can start using Brainstorm to set up the Terminus. We can ponder and see things, and then instant speed draw with things like Shark Typhoon, Dress Down, the Codal. So things will be kind of interesting here, and Sean does have that force to protect whatever he needs to protect, too. And we know he has the Codal, so he's going to have an instant speed draw at minimum off that.
So you were playing this earlier. How many of the Terminus are in the main deck?
I believe there are 2. Okay. There could only be 1. It was kind of confusing. I guess the...
it's a little fluid. Okay.
Yeah, there were like 2 Terminus in the board. I don't know if that's standard at all. I don't think that is standard. Son was saying that his list is kind of hodgepodge at the moment because he's still trying to get some cards.
But it's also, like, that's one of the things about Legacy is you have all these tools to you. It fits your play style, fits what you're expecting to play against.
Yeah.
You know, whether is having Terminus the right thing if you're playing against a world of Storm decks? No.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
Fortunately, though, right now we're in a world of Delver, and I think it seems fine against that deck. So I would probably play 2 or 3 of them in the main right now, in addition to 4 ending 4 swords. But I would be very aggressive about beating these decks because I think you need to be right now.
One of the situations Andrew made a good point about earlier is we wanted to see a trick with playing Dress Down to have it turn off all of the elves' abilities, and then the card draw being a Terminus to then wipe everything away.
That would have
been
great.
Being able to escape with the symbiotes.
Unfortunately for me, that never came up, but it's okay.
Cool.
It would have been sweet. I tried setting it up a few times.
Okay, and he's going after Retrofitter Foundry,
which could have cashed in a 4/4 in response, but didn't.
I think Sean's actually in a really bad spot here. So Noah knows about the Ice Fang Codal.
Maybe he wants the Ninja more.
If he has any sort of removal,
right?
Oh, I forgot the Quad went back to hand.
This is a draw 2. So you could effectively say that any card he any removal spell in his hand.
We were supposed to ending the draw, idiot, right?
It's 4. It's 4 mana.
Okay, it's 4. I see.
Which he doesn't.
Which we don't have 4 colors of mana in play at the moment. The deck doesn't play 4 colors of mana at all. Period. I don't believe.
For the Infiltrator.
I see. Okay.
So Noah's making this attack right here. So
obviously,
he's saying I'm gonna be guaranteed to draw. You cannot block the Infiltrator.
This also says I don't have a removal.
Yeah.
Funny enough.
And it's saying how much do you value the fact that you have a Death Touch creature, but I could make another Ninja, and this draw 1 turns into a draw 2.
Is
Or-
Ninjas does not play Wasteland,
Illegal.
correct? Or do you play Wasteland?
No, it's all basics.
So-
in 1 spring season.
I don't know if Sean has fetched any basics, but it seems quite incorrect to fetch basics against non-Wasteland decks. Like, why make your mana worse?
Ninjas is one of the notorious decks that plays only.
It does
basics.
give you Death Touch
That's,
on the
and
Kodal.
I think that was, we were mentioning it before,
Right.
that yes, even though you want to get yourself online, is it worth
Sure.
the...
Okay. So Sean should
You
just
turn one
cash
thing
in
on.
on his. Sean should cash in on his. Force negation, but he doesn't.
Mhm.
Okay, Noah's overcommitting here.
Yeah, we need to find that terminus, Sean. We need to find that terminus. And I guess Sean's reasoning must be that he's just trying to defend a terminus if he finds one.
And if I'm Noah here, that ingenious infiltrator, never attacking.
That makes sense.
Have to run into something, just like live off the back of
No,
the other ones.
Yeah, Noah he's just looking for 2 things: counter spells and kill spells.
Mm-hmm. Now,
A
Yeah.
Baleful Strix off the top would be huge. Ninjas played 2 Baleful Strix.
Okay.
now, obviously, we haven't been able to see the draw steps super well.
Also worthy of mention is that Brazen Borrower is on an adventure.
Yes, it
And
is.
if
Ooh,
you
I
bounce
forgot
that
about
with a
that.
ninja, then it's a removal spell.
Yeah, it is.
That's clever.
See, I don't like this from Sean. 1 white mana is not where you want to be in these matchups where you need to interact and you want to instant speed draw a terminus.
Yeah,
Because we can't ending plus draw into terminus in the
was
same
that
turn.
Yes.
Prismatic Vista? How many basic planes is he running?
He's fetching.
That's true.
Yeah, he's
That's
fetching
true.
too many basics because.
But this is where it comes down to we've cared too much about giving the Kodal Death Touch in the early game, and now we're bottlenecked on our mana. We can't swords plus Kodal into a terminus in the same turn, which could be very relevant.
Okay, so I disagree with Noah's play here. I think I think you do fetch and get the Brazen Borrower in play.
Yeah.
Obviously in Legacy you can value your fetches a little bit more for the shuffle effect,
Maybe.
but perhaps.
Possible.
Perhaps. I think just
I
drawing.
forgot about it till you mentioned it. But I'm also not over
still
it.
has
Oh, he still has brainstorming in.
Yeah.
Okay, so
he's
he's.
saving it for his force, but at least he did a couple seconds.
Ooh. Now that still can't block though.
Is that a Typhoon?
Oh, is he trying to set up a terminus here or what?
Does he know?
I have no idea. Well, he's tapping
he
his
just,
white.
he just had a shuffle, so.
Why in the world is he tapping his
So
white
it's
mana?
a Shark for 2?
This is horrible.
That's a shark for one.
This is horrendous. Why are we tapping
A shark
Caracas?
for one that's just going to trade with
This
the
is
thunder
Yuriko
thing.
right here. This is, if I'm Noah and I have a Yuriko in play, or in my hand,
Well, now
I'm
that
slamming it.
Can someone
Caracas-
explain to me why we tapped Caracas? I'm so
Not sure.
confused. Like maybe Sean knew the top card, but
Did
this
he?
doesn't make any sense.
And
If he knew the
I'm
top
a little
card,
bit confused by this entire play because really this block on this
the
servo
only thing it
doesn't
can
do
block.
anything. It doesn't do anything. You can sack the servo to make a top turn.
this is
And then
Not
he
a-
still has the requisite mana to untap the retrofitter and make a 4/4.
Yes, not great.
Noah's.
Trigger, draw card.
Noah just lets it go.
I think he only drew 1 card.
I saw the table.
I have no
Maybe he
idea.
drew 2.
I'm just
He does have quite a few cards in the grid.
I'm still shocked that Sean didn't leave up white mana,
Well,
didn't
what
make
is
a
he-
2/2.
So what is he representing with that 3 mana? That it
It's a
could-
force negation right now.
It could have been a 2/2 to at least live through.
Oh, it
That's
was an
endurance.
endurance.
But endurance doesn't matter.
Yeah, why?
These little changeling outcasts. That's a 4-turn clock.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I would have liked to see the endurance leaving the other 3 mana untapped.
Yeah.
To like
To
like,
eat
to
the 1/1
least
or at
block
least
and
force
take
make him use mana to
So
make a
this is
4.
interesting. So he's giving Noah back all his counter spells he's used in the past.
That doesn't seem great to me.
You
So
are allowed to sect? No, it is a May clause.
It is, which is what I did against Nate in our game. I did not target either player.
So Noah has the option now where he says, I kind of like one of those cards that was in the graveyard. I want to possibly see it. I'm gonna be
Okay, well
drawing
there
3 cards
is a
turn."
second basic planes, so or a basic planes. Never mind.
Ending
Because he had
upgrade
Caracas.
2.
4/4. Okay.
And he just
And he scoops it up. Yep. Yeah, ninjas doing what ninjas do.
yeah.
Now I think there were some missteps there.
Oh, there certainly.
Because really, I think the ban control deck after that turn 1 do nothing and get hit by a daze.
I mean,
and I don't fault him for getting hit by the daze. I think the missteps were in his choice to get his basics. We should have diversified his mana.
Hard casting Jace is like pretty terrible too. Against any deck with Daze, that's force fodder all the time. You just never want to cast Jace and do a Daze. It is so bad.
Yeah, and
it's embarrassing.
You got to get credit to Noah there with his days. That second days, he held on to it for a while.
Oh yeah, no, that's fine.
Very clean.
That's fine.
If
you're Sean, you cannot risk a 4 mana do nothing. It's such a bad tempo loss.
If you know your opponent is a Daze deck, you can't
like,
just tap 4 mana.
Yeah, this is why Daze. This is like the Jace. You know, obviously we don't know all the contents of his hand, but it's force fodder, it's brainstorm fodder to just put it away and get something better later.
Especially in the texture of the match, that the other deck already had these, like, you're going to spend 4 mana on an unsummon.
It's horrible.
Like, it just doesn't seem
horrendous.
Like, yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong.
We don't know what else he had necessarily.
Right, we don't.
To choose
we don't. We couldn't quite see the hands.
Maybe
but
he needed the gas.
At the end of the game, we saw forces, and you know, having Jace for those forces would have been nice.
That was kind of also. Remember when I was playing this last week, I didn't see an Uro any game with this deck. This band deck.
That certainly makes a deck.
He should have been searching for that Uro.
Oh,
he
of
should
course.
have been prioritizing that.
Oh yeah.
He was trying to.
I've had it every game.
Alive,
every game I've played the deck, I've had Euro, which I guess is probably why I've been winning with the deck almost every time, and other people have been struggling with it. It does. You do. I mean, it does. I'm not gonna.
Anybody who wins the tournaments, because there was luck.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Anyone who says otherwise doesn't know what they're talking about.
What Jeremy and I were talking about with this band deck is the new tech that Zach Allen and Brian Coble have done.
Okay.
Is they're playing Field of the Dead, and they're also playing Life from the Law.
Ooh, Field of the Dead is still legal in Legacy. That is sweet.
Because the band deck doubles a lot.
It does.
It doesn't do much.
And I love that out of post-board games because people try and circle your Euro. It still gives you a great way to win.
Yeah.
And a way to win that you don't have to invest any mana into, which is really nice.
It is effectively it can clear your brainstorms.
Yes.
And it can, if you don't know the top of your deck and you're just looking for an Euro, that's basically a draw 3.
They also had, along with the Field of the Dead, I believe it was 1 or 2 Wastelands. Because I know I played against it. I think I actually played against that when I was doing one of my leagues on stream. And I'm like, really? Not only are you banned, you're splashing Volcanic to get your Pyroblast and stuff out of the sideboard, and you have colorless lands? Are you kidding me? And
they might just be up on the land
count.
No,
I think I talked to him. Yeah. I talked to him about it on Twitter, and I'm like, oh yeah, it was actually really good.
Of course, I mean,
so,
yeah, Alan really thinks about things that he does. I've played a lot with Zach Allen. We had a Discord call that we would play with we played together for almost like a year and a half, 2 years straight. So he and I both kind of know how each other think and play, and dude works really, really hard on his lists, and he comes up with some very interesting stuff. And, you know, not all of his ideas work. Not all of my ideas work. He'll tell you one of our team events we went to, I tried to play Bounty of Alexa, and it was one of the most embarrassing standard cards in the world. It made him sick. And, you know, at that tournament, that idea didn't work. But, you know, you also have ideas that do work very well. Like,
that's how you discover that.
I played Glint Sleeve. I was, like, literally the first player to play Glint Sleeve Siphoner. At the very first Open, I was on 4 Siphoner, and I remember one of my buddies, Galen Whitaker, he's a local. He doesn't really go to tournaments much anymore, but he's a local guy from Grand Rapids here, and he told me, you should try this card. This seems really good with Snake. And then I started playing it the week leading up to that Open, and I didn't even want to play it like anywhere online anymore because I was like, this is actually nuts. This is nuts. I don't want anyone to know about this at all because this is actually crazy. And it was crazy.
See, I have some hidden technology because I'm really old, and we used to not play online. You didn't have to worry about that.
That's fair.
Our playtesting was in person.
Yeah, I know. That's, yeah.
All right, so it looks like at least one mulligan from the band side. I saw man, look at this, how good this hand would have been, if only.
Yeah, classic. The classics.
And I believe Noah's on 7, right?
I think so. It would appear so. Maybe not. I can't quite tell. Maybe it's only 6. No, it's 7. It's 7.
I think I saw Brazen Bar on his hand.
And Sean, what?
Might have No, I was gonna say,
accidentally drew 8 cards.
gotcha.
Before looking at them, just take one. Which one's going to the bottom? That
Okay.
one. Okay.
There. Is that 2 to the bottom? Do you mull the 5?
Roll the 5.
Come on, let's not do mull the 5s on the stream. Boo!
The Ninja deck, actually, believe it or not, when I was playing this, not this exact list, but I was playing a very similar list.
Well, this is a deck that can win on a mull the 5. Are you
I
about to tell me you
mulled
won?
4
Yeah.
against Death Shadow.
Yeah, I mean, I believe.
Cleaned him out.
I mean, I believe it, right? Because all you need is 2 lands, Ninjutsu, Idiot, and either the Changeling or the Ornithopter, and it's very functional.
I'm not gonna lie with you. My Ponder was insane.
Yeah, of course.
Ornithopter.
Of course, yeah. But
But
this is exactly the kind of deck, and Delver's that way too, where like I totally believe that you can just recover from a mull to 4 because you're playing Ragavan. If someone can't kill the Ragavan on turn 1 and you hit like a Ponder or a Brainstorm, all of a sudden that is getting erased so quickly, because not only are you getting mana from the Ragavan in the form of Lotus Petals, you're also getting cards.
now Noah kept another, I would
Slower
say,
hand.
loose hand.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask. That we had said before. This is the kind of deck that you want to deploy a threat.
You want to snowball.
But the good news for Noah is Sean's mana kind of sucks again.
Basic.
Yeah, well, but this time, he had a Vista. I don't know if he has Strands or anything in his hand,
Gotcha.
but
That's one of the
he
factors
didn't
of
have an
Vista.
option.
You can only get
Exactly. He didn't have an option so far. Now, should he have played a land to go get a duel? Probably, if he has that option. But who knows if he did have that option? It's kind of hard to see the hand at the
Noah's
moment.
just snapping off the underground seed. Let's get
Yeah,
Project
of course,
Mana going.
of course. Yeah.
You're not playing against a wasteland deck. Now, if you
Not
played
unless
the
it was
Brian
Zach.
Coble
Yeah, not unless it
version.
was Zach Allen, Brian Coble version. Then there would be some wastelands.
Okay.
And
I like this. Now I think Noah's doing it at the wrong time though.
Yeah.
I think you do it in the upkeep
Fair.
because that plays around force negation.
correct.
And yeah, I like this form.
And that's a force
It ends up at Force Will, which
He
would have
pitched
happened
it.
regardless. but-
Pitching dress down's a little awkward. I don't know if he had a better option, but yeah, there's a Jace in his hand. That should have been pitched.
But this Sylvan Library is a way to get out
It
of
is.
Multi 5.
Of course.
Especially
But the
when
issue,
the other guy is not presenting that threat.
right, of course. I really don't like pitching. Like if we had, I swear I see a Jace in that hand. We need to pitch that
I
Jace.
believe that's an engineered explosive.
Yeah, EE Jace, and then I can't see the last card, but
Yeah.
we should have kept the dress
The
down here.
Ninja deck runs into Force of Wills.
All right,
and
2 cards
Chalices.
deep.
It really
Oh yeah, you have to. I mean, you mulled to 5. Let's erase that mulligan. We've also cast a Force, which was kind of another mulligan in a way. So we really got to erase those issues. And we need a land. Sean needs a land here really bad. And if he doesn't have a land, that makes keeping the Jace even more upsetting because Dress Down was at least a redraw. And it's also just good. It's also just a fine card in the matchup to kind of fog in a way. Fog
and
plus a
Tide.
card.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Is there a card that fogs and draws a card in Magic? I don't know that there is.
I like this play. If he
I know
doesn't have a
Blunt the
land-
Assault gains you a bunch of life,
So
4 mana.
Sean doesn't have a land, but
They
I
should,
like.
they
I like
should
this
really,
place in
if they
this.
don't have one that exists, I feel like they should really make one. A
What?
fog that draws a card. That'd be gas.
They have a fog that cycles.
They do. I want a fog that fogs and draws a card.
No way. No way. No way.
It sounds like fun Magic to me. It would probably have to be 5 mana or so.
You know what? If Jake Kinsvold was like, we should make a Spore Frog ETB draw card.
Ooh.
Sack it. Fog.
Yeah. Flash. It's got to have flash too.
Sure.
Because it's got to be an actual fog.
Sure.
I want
And
an
then we play
instant
that-
speed fog that draws a card.
But then we play that white enchantment that buys back 1-drops every turn. I'm in.
Yeah, so when I say fog, I mean fog effect, not 1 mana. Like it would have to be, like I was saying a second ago, I think it would have to be about 4 or 5 mana for that to be a reasonable card. There's no way. Obviously at 1 mana, it's like literally like that's broken. Like that's probably too good. Fog plus a
So-
card for 1 mana.
Angel Song is our fog that cycles.
Okay. I think there's also a green one. There's a green one that was in standard that
It
also.
was from Amonkhet.
Yep.
I got blown out to it at pre-release.
Oh yeah, I lost to that
Didn't
once,
know it
too.
was a thing.
I was pretty annoyed because the card usually fogs unlimited are just atrocious. But
Constant Mist with the buyback is pretty great.
So Noah is getting the Yuriko train going, which is excellent.
yes, and yeah, Sean's in huge trouble. Let's just be honest.
I think he just made us on the producer just made a servo and just
Yep.
picked up the servo.
Yeah, why not? I mean, let's get the Yuriko in there, and we'll see if Sean has an answer. Does he have a
Sean,
sword?
And Sean's finally going finally getting aggressive with these fetches.
Yeah, I mean, of course. Does he have swords? I never drew one, by the way. Never drew a swords in any of those games. And it is. So that's huge.
Oh, no.
That's
Tiger
huge.
Shadow gone.
That's big. Big game there. So Sean has a good chance here. Now, has his life total not been adjusted? He should be lower, right? He drew cards off the Sylvan?
He should be
quite
Yeah,
make
we
it.
can't quite see it. Our Swish Gaming is
there we go.
blocking it. There we go. He's at 9. Do you think he gets frisky and goes to 5? We'll see. He is a Euro deck.
I think if he finds the Euro,
Then you go to 5.
you go to
Then
5.
you're safe.
But you're risking a Yuriko contact.
See, I don't understand this play at all. There's a EE on 1.
You can sack it
just
to make a
force
4/4.
Oh, you just have to tap the Foundry?
Tap it.
Oh, that's it?
Because
Wow.
the
I thought you had to
changeling
pay
is
mana.
already a
Yeah, no, I
foundry,
knew
so
that.
that's the
I
cheat.
didn't realize Stop Your Foundry had any tap. I thought it had to pay mana for all its abilities.
So, like, even if you just ran out an Ornithopter, that's a 4/4 and
I see.
waiting.
So Foundry has a tap, a 1 tap, a 2 tap, and a 3 tap?
It is
3 is the untap.
Okay.
2 tap, make a servo.
Okay,
1 tap, sacrifice a servo, make a thopter.
I see.
Tap, sacrifice a thopter, make a 4/4 construct.
I see.
And then for 3 mana, untap it.
I see.
Tell you, when I brought this deck to the NRG Championship,
Uh-huh.
nobody
Knew how to interact.
knew what it was.
Because no one was doing it yet.
This
There
was
was no
this
Urza
was-
Saga yet.
Yeah, this was right after the Saheeli Commander deck came out,
Uh-huh.
and so this was $1. That Thopter Foundry was $1.
How much is it now?
About 30.
Not
Oh,
$1.
boy. Oh, nice.
It is, but no one knew what it did. Everyone read it. They'd be like, okay, I got it. Put it down, and then it does
Forget about
does
the other
something
30
different.
words. Yeah.
They're like, this card has so much text. I'm like, it's all relevant.
So the only instance I found is that you can fog a single creature and
See,
draw a card.
I don't like Noah not just killing the Teferi there, do you? That seems greedy.
You are a reactive deck.
Yeah.
You need to kill the Teferi, so
Yeah.
you're making your counter spells live.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, I also
said-
didn't like
what
Sean's
he's saying
line,
is, I'm going to kill you on the next turn.
Oh. Uh-oh.
So Noah is doing the classic, I'm playing to win,
Okay. End step. Let's get
but
ourselves a Zero.
your opponent sees a lot of cards every turn.
Yeah, we got to make a
And, by
servo.
and the fact that they
Now,
can
Sean
make
should
this
just
mana-
nuke that Foundry right now. Yeah. Maybe as a Codal.
Noah should be clipping into that Teferi.
Oh,
right
yeah,
now.
Teferi needs to die, man. This thing is going to
It's already ticked up to 2.
take over the game.
Yeah, but if we on the next turn if we can follow up with another servo.
Yeah, we're pressuring it. Now, I almost guarantee that there's a Codal or a Dress Down or something here, because I really don't understand not just EEing the Foundry off the board.
Well,
But
dress down doesn't do
it doesn't
anything
really
to
do
stop
much.
this
It just
thing.
cycles, but it's still a redraw.
And Noah says he thinks better than us. He's going face.
That's that's fine. I disagree.
He thinks
completely.
he knows better than Ninja Grandmaster of Grand Rapids.
It's Ninja
Sensei.
Grandmaster.
I tell people all the time, step into the dojo.
Ninja Grandmaster.
Oh, there we go. Oh, wait, or maybe
Okay.
he's going to.
Poof, it's
No,
rock.
okay. No, he went face. Okay.
Imagine killing the Teferi or not killing the Teferi. We don't get to draw a card if we kill the Teferi, though, right? So
Is
maybe.
there something about the wording of ninjutsu that it has to be?
No,
Yeah.
no.
I'm
It
trying to be
all-
nice.
It
yes.
only it states if a creature's unblocked.
Okay.
That's it.
So it was just not a good play, for
Yeah.
being honest. If we're going to be completely
So
honest.
for those who are getting into Legacy and want to know how to combat the ninja deck, if you have a reactive spell, do it. Most people like to do stuff before damage, after blockers are declared, right?
Up to 3.
But that is when
That is-
the ninjas live.
That is when the ninjas thrive. If
Yeah.
you when you do something like when I was playing against you earlier, Stephen, I said at the end of attackers, do my thing. Because that way you can just save your creature. Because you can use the ninjutsu ability actually to save your creatures.
Sean might be in some trouble here. He does not have the mana to cast an Endurance. I guess he could have his swords, but we'll see what happens.
So,
Ice Fang Codal would be pretty good here too, actually. Just chump blocking
I
is
think
fine.
I-
But it would only be a
It would not.
chump
Yeah, it would not be a
Still-
Death Toucher, but it's good enough. It's
I'll
a
be honest.
redraw.
If I'm gonna bet on somebody who's gonna win this game, I think Sean's gonna win this game. He's seeing a lot more cards than Noah every turn.
Oh,
Sure,
there's a
Noah's-
snap.
sure,
There's a
Noah's
snap
drawing
swords.
Okay. Do we have a swords on the bottom?
There it should be.
Noah's drawing more
Something
cards.
there.
I think it's
Hiding
yeah.
behind
If
the
you-
word
It's
band.
somewhere in there. He's cast a swords this game.
Yeah, but we're at the point where if Noah removes the last threat that Noah has,
Yeah.
then he's in great shape.
Yeah, I
This
mean, there's
Teferi just
Teferi.
blocking out all interaction
Yeah,
is insane.
yeah, yeah. obviously, yeah, Noah's getting very punished for not just killing it. Snap, swords.
As long as
You
like
can't.
you said, you've done this at the right window of combat. I mean, you can't be declared as an attacker and say, "Well, I'm unblocked." And you're like, "We have got the blocks here."
Yeah, that's why it's always important to state your intentions very clearly.
Yeah.
I would like to go to attacks. I would like to go to blocks.
Yep.
Yep. And Sean, yeah, is in huge, big-time position here. Teferi at 3, Snapcaster in play. He can rebuy that Snapcaster next turn after plussing Teferi and then minus on his own Snap to get that play.
So despite being this,
That is a hardcast Liliana, the last hope.
Okay, that's really good.
it's going to eat that Snap.
It is, which is really
Bang.
important. Really important.
And
Is that for D&T too?
It is.
I bet it is.
It is.
It seems really
For all
good.
these control decks of that DMT, it is there.
Oh
Nice.
boy, that seems
X1.
annoying.
what
Yeah.
is the ultimate Liliana?
It
You
is
win the game,
No,
essentially.
No. Numerically.
7.
7.
Yeah. Numerically, it's 7. You know what it does with
Oh,
the
I do,
zombies.
yes.
Yeah, okay.
Actually, if I'm
I've seen
Noah,
them racing everywhere.
if I'm Noah, I kind of like actually just minusing Liliana, the last hope.
Okay.
Pick up an Ingenious Infiltrator and just replay it.
Okay.
I think he's got one in the yard. I
He
might
should.
I might be wrong.
Well, that one did
Well,
hit
actually-
swords.
okay,
So we
Oh,
have another one.
Yeah.
But he did sack a
So-
Changeling Outcast earlier.
Sean
Okay, so he's got swords.
Sean has that Jace in his hand, I believe. He's had it for a very long time, so I would imagine he
Is this
just
another
puts the.
Vista?
It is. He's going to 2 here. And
So
it,
Noah might be just on the plan of, I'm going to go try to go ultimate on Liliana.
yeah, and
Which is a
Sean
horrible
is
plan, right?
Sean is going to go on the Jace plan now, I would imagine, if he does have the Jace.
Now, if Noah does get to ultimate the Liliana, the last hope,
Need a second green for
That says endurance, yeah. Yeah.
yeah. If Noah's able to ultimate the Liliana, he has a chance to win this game.
Okay, and here comes Euro.
Bang.
Boom. 5. Draw a card. Play an extra land if we have one.
It is. Bang.
It's planes.
Had it.
Had it, peeled it, put it in
No worries.
right off the top. Noah rolls eyes. Okay. And so,
Bang. And this is huge for Sean because now he can just, if he really needs to get more card quantity in his hand,
he was
he can
bounced.
just flash in an Ice Fang Codal or something and then
yeah.
just bounce it.
Not with this mana, but he'll be able to do it in the near
In the
future.
future,
Yeah. Or even something
Oh,
as
okay. Noah's getting frisky, -2. There's a Baleful Strix.
Ooh.
I like the Baleful Strix.
Get
Pretty
the
good.
value off of it.
pretty good. That's a bad one to bounce with Teferi, that's for sure. You might have to,
Bang.
but
Opponent says it's good.
yeah,
Right up. Also, that threatens the Euro.
of course.
Now, I'm curious if Noah brought in surgical extractions. Those are in the side.
Yep. And they should
Brainstorm?
definitely be coming in this matchup, correct?
So he played a fetch and then brainstorm.
Okay. I like this.
But also it leaves him the 2 mana available for the card that was just picked up to be read. There's so many words on there.
There's
a lot of words
on there.
A lot of words.
You know, but going back to this game, or previous play in this game, if this Teferi's off board,
This game's over.
game's over.
Yeah, yeah.
Like any kind of forces, anything that we're drawing as the ninja side are effectively turned off, those counter spells.
Yeah.
And this deck does play 4 copies of Force of Will main, and it plays 2 Force Negations on the side. Now, me personally, I would actually be siding out my Force of Wills in this matchup.
Okay.
And my Force of Negation. I wouldn't bring it in Force Negation.
What about Days' Dawn?
Days, I keep him in.
Okay.
Keep him for a little early game interaction.
Makes sense.
But I think there's argument to trim on the Days.
I was just wondering how mana hungry does the ninja's deck feel, or can you just live off a smaller amount when you only have to pay, 2
It's
mana for your ninja?
3
cheat or
mana is
whatever?
the sweet spot.
Okay.
3 lands is what you need to be at. Now, unfortunate for Noah, he's not, with all the cards he drew, he only found 2 retrofitters. If he has 2 retrofitters in play, this game is actually quite difficult for Sean to get out of.
Yeah. Right now, Sean should probably just rebuy this Euro.
Now, if Noah is smart, he would have left the Snuff Outs in his deck.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. Now, there's a Swords, there's a Dress Down. I like just getting the Euro into play here. Let's get Euro. Let's tick up to Fairy again. Let's go to 8. We're very unlikely to die next turn. Yep, and he's doing that. And he's even leaving up swords, which is just
Well,
so good.
he's not allowed to tap the basic planes, but yeah.
Yep.
But yes, representing
Yeah,
something we
just
can
saying
draw.
that he's, yeah. And I think he has it in his hand. I'm pretty sure I saw him draw it.
Now, what's especially clever is once you have Teferi, the ability to have instant speed prismatic ending.
Yeah.
Is pretty sweet.
It's so good. Now, I don't like leaving Terminus in the yard here. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. You can't really use that card. I don't know if you exiled anything that was more relevant.
For other Snapcasters.
Yeah, exactly. Snap's like never flash. Like if Snap's flashing back at Terminus, it's just so
The
unlikely.
card I can see
Snapcaster's
on top
incredibly
being engineered explosives. He might not have had like.
Yeah, he might not have had any
lands, etc.
Yeah, might not have had anything.
Vistas.
Might not have had anything relevant.
Snow's got 5 cards in hand. This
Yep.
Uro is not necessarily the card I'm worried about.
There's a dress down over here though, and that's going to be really good. That's going to be really good because we can't counter it because it's Teferi, and if we do ninjutsu in multiple things, we just get dress down. We're not going to get any triggers.
No, it could just get blown out here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm wondering how many kill spells Noah left in his deck.
Who knows?
Because push isn't very good.
No.
Snuff out having just generic remove non-black creature.
Yeah. And it's free.
It's
right?
free. It is free. You have to pay 4 life to do it. And Sean says no blocks, and Noah's like, I'm gonna do my ninja thing.
Okay.
There's the snuff out.
Okay. Funny enough, though, that's actually not even that good here because Euro's just coming back again.
He doesn't have the requisite cards to do it.
He has a
Or
fetch.
he's got 4, so yeah.
4, 5,
Yep, that'll
6. He
buy
does
that.
have enough, so
Now,
kind of awkward because
Noah can cast the Strix again, which is good.
it is.
Dig him a little deeper.
It is. But Noah, yeah, is in a horrible
What's
spot.
Liliana use? Okay, that's what I was gonna ask.
Because now Euro is just coming back again. Sylvan Library can even draw an extra card if it wants. Probably shouldn't yet, but it can. And I think there's definitely another white card there. I can't tell which one it is, but we know it's either Terminus Swords or Prismatic.
Yeah, and depending on
Could be a plane. Actually, I lied. It's a plains. I think that's a basic plains.
what's nice about the
can't
fetch
tell.
lands is at least he can reset those for the next
Correct.
time around.
Correct.
Or does he really? He has to cash in the fetch land to get the arrow. I was gonna say if he wanted to dig a little bit deeper. But
Yeah. Yeah.
needs the requisite fuel.
Yep. So we got dress down. Euro's coming back to the party. And we get to leave up dress down again, which is just so good. And I think we get to roll up to Fairy again as well, going to 10 life. Yeah, Sean looks to be in a very commanding position at the moment.
Draw our card.
Yep. The island can
I
come
saw
into play.
it.
Yep, there it is. Boom. And did we roll? Nope, we haven't rolled it up yet. Let's roll that bad boy up to 5. Boom. All right. And this Teferi just continuing to really
Bloom over the game.
Yeah, really
longer than it should.
looked like it didn't matter earlier, and now it just is kind of dominating. There's a 1/1. That really doesn't.
And that, I mean, I'm not sure what his thinking was on that. Like he could have been thinking that
My
I just
opponent's
need
at 5. I
I
just
need to close
push
this
over the
game
line.
out. Yeah, I need to push over the line. But he should have been thinking, how many cards
Does Teferi
do I need to
just
use
shut
at instant speed?
Or what can beat me here?
Yeah.
And if it's if it's that thing staying in play, invalidating so many cards.
Yeah.
That that one Uro effectively helped him claw his way back in, and Teferi has helped keeping that locked down.
Mm-hmm.
And again, Noah's newer, hasn't played quite as much Legacy, so maybe
Right.
he just didn't realize how impactful it was. But also, he should have considered the Sylvan Library.
Yep.
Sylvan Library sees so many cards.
That's not something that you're going to be exposed to in Modern.
Yeah.
Combination, especially with Uro gaining that like that.
Yeah, so you just eventually just accrue so much value. This is the band deck snowballing, just like
Yeah.
Ninja's snowball.
Yep. Yeah, the Bant deck's pretty simple. You just play Euro, replay Euro, and then attack with Euro. It's pretty much, it's generally Euro.
It's a little bit
Noah's
slower.
minus, and he
Much
sees-
slower.
He sees the Genius Infiltrator. That is close.
I mean, it's pretty good, right? We get to.
He's buying Brazen Bar. Excellent choice.
Yep. Not bad.
I think based on the context of the hand, we bounce the Teferi. Let's unlock our reactive spells.
That makes sense. It also makes Sean invest a good amount of mana.
Can't do it in combat though.
By doing this, we're opening ourselves up to that dress down that's in hand.
Yep.
But Sean
Sean-
better of it.
Sean probably won't deploy that.
Oh, Brainstorm, okay.
I don't really understand brainstorming at this moment, to be honest. But
I kind of like just brainstorming.
later, I
during his
like
main.
I like saving it. Yeah, I really don't like doing it
Because
here.
really, the play is you're going to dress down this turn.
Yeah, and
Your
Terminus
dress
Terminus isn't even like very good right now, so I would much rather just sandbag the
Well, he can't
brainstorm.
even use the turns.
I know. Yeah.
I think he did find his swords though. But if he used the swords, then he can't use the dress down.
Right. Yeah. I'm
The
pretty-
dress down is a clean answer to. Okay.
The dress down's also going to be disgusting. If Noah does decide to borrow the Euro, he'll just dress down and play Euro and just keep the Euro in play again,
Yep.
Something I had
which is going to potentially
something I
happen.
had considered is you dress down. It drops those Strix out of the sky and strips their death touch. You just block it.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
Now what I think he's probably going to do is end step dress down here. I like an
to
end
come
step.
back to his turn.
Yes, to go to your turn with the dress down still in play, and then you get to preserve that 2 mana. I don't like this.
Well, I was gonna say you also get the discount on Euro. You don't have that extra life and card drop, but
Who cares? Who
because it's
cares?
just
Whatever.
a 3-mana 6/6.
It's fine. I mean, Sean's in such a good position. I don't think it quite matters. But I think I would have gone for that there. Maybe he's just valuing the 3 life and the card draw though, which is fine too.
We're-
3 life and a card's nice.
We're
but
nowhere near the graveyard fuel.
we're not.
That's where
I
I'm
think we're
saying
at the
is to
point-
do the circumvent.
I think Sean's very comfortable at this point. There's no.
Yeah,
really,
it's
there's
gonna
no
be
threat.
it's gonna be really hard to lose from this position
When
with
you're
the
seeing-
Sylvan
when you're
Library, with the
seeing-
Teferi.
4 cards a turn.
Yeah. So
And your opponent didn't respect the Teferi.
the funny thing is now too, Sean can just cast Terminus at instant speed. He doesn't even miracle that card anymore.
Also, I'm wondering why Noah didn't just play the Brazen Borrower on his turn.
Yeah.
Eddie Theft cast the Brazen Borrower.
Yep.
Let's threaten lethal on the
Just
Teferi.
get it out there.
Yep. Should have done that.
Since you can't end send it.
Right.
Um,
And Noah needs to proactively fetch.
I think
For that
Sean. I
island?
believe Sean has a Hull Breacher in his hand, which is disgusting against Infiltrator. Really good. Every ninja that hits, you
Is
he
Infiltrator
creates-
a May?
I don't know. Is Infiltrator a May? No, no, it is. No, it is not. So Hull Breacher is pretty good against that one, eh?
You know what? It certainly is.
It certainly is.
Now, if
Just
you-
another reason
if
to
it
leave
was
him
a-
stuff out.
Now, if it was a Yuriko,
Oh yeah,
Yuriko
obviously
doesn't drop
it doesn't stop that. Doesn't stop that one.
and I'm assuming that Noah just says all hands on deck to go after the Teferi.
And there's the Hull Breacher, and Hull Breacher's probably just coming in to make a block.
Yep.
Yeah.
Smart.
Yep.
Noah's like, bam, Thopter action.
I'm gonna be honest with you. There's some argument to actually not sack your token there and just plus Lily and kill the Hull Breacher. Do you think that's better?
I would have done that.
Yeah, that seems better to me.
Ooh,
Is that another retrofitter?
that is.
Okay, well that gives him some leverage here. I mean, the problem
Well,
is,
if I know I have that, let's see. Let me count the mana real quick. So 1, 2. Okay, so he would be short to make a construct
okay,
on the next turn.
it's gonna. Sean will have to draw very badly to lose this game, but it is still possible, for sure. I mean, now he has enough life to play with too with the Sylvan, where he can definitely just take at least one extra card. Because honestly, all we need to do now is just find a copy of Terminus, because we just plus Teferi and we spend 6 mana in the attack phase, and just see you later. This game's over. Thanks for playing. Thank you for not killing my Teferi. That's all we need now. Have we found a terminus? I don't see a terminus. I see 2 lands. That's not very good. I don't think either of them is a fetch land either, so they're not going to feed the Euro as well. I think they're just a dual and a basic, and that might be a Ponder, though. Ponder's excellent. Ponder's excellent. It is Ponder. It's definitely Ponder, and that seems amazing. So it not only feeds the Euro, it can shuffle those garbage cards away and really just dig us to that terminus. That's all we're trying to find now. A terminus wins.
Well, not necessarily. The Retrofitter Foundry is...
You can rebuild from 0.
You can.
The Retrofitter Foundry especially can rebuild from 0, especially because you got 2 of them.
That's true.
Those can chain off. So this turn, what Noah's going to do, he's going to make a servo.
Yep.
Or no, yeah, he'll make a servo.
He can make one servo, and then he can untap.
He's going to untap and then make a 4.
Okay.
Well,
theoretically, he could sack.
Already got.
He could sack the servo, make an orthopter, and then make another. Make a 4/4. So I think that's the proper line.
Yeah.
Keep a flyer in play.
Plus there. And Sean did choose to lose 4 life. Get up a card. Is he passing? No. No, he's
going to play Uro.
Well, he can't. He can't rebuy it yet. There's a Jace, and that's very good. Probably brainstorming. We might Fate Seal, though. There's a fetch. Yeah, I think. What? Unsung. No. Sorry, I saw the 2 on the Teferi and got confused. He's brainstorming. Yeah, it seems right to me. Those look very bad.
We were talking about shortcutting before and things that I know that I do with my planeswalkers.
Yes.
I tap them.
That makes sense.
Especially with, say, Jace here.
Yeah.
Did not actively go up or down when it's a 0.
Yes.
I want to show that I
have used it for everybody.
It's literally just something I've done, and someone else commented on it. I'm like, I don't know. I want to be.
It seems good.
As clear as possible.
Yes. So no, that seems like a good thing to do. Honestly, it helps everybody. It helps your opponent, and it helps you. It helps people watching.
You don't want to be the one who didn't use Jace.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
I had somebody.
Playing a deck like this that where your turns can go very long. Sometimes
this and this and this.
Yeah,
and this.
It's easy to forget.
Yeah, I was playing Elementals about a month ago or whatever before we started doing commentary. Noah didn't untap him, so that's again inexperience with the Foundries. But I was playing a match here at F&M, and someone came up on one of my matches, and I rolled up to Fairy, and they're like, "Haven't you already used that?" And I'm like, "No." And I definitely hadn't already used it, but my turn had taken a fair amount of time because I was doing a bunch of Risen Reef things and all this. There were tons of things happening. But had I been doing the thing that you're talking about, that wouldn't have even been a question for anybody.
Very smart attack by Noah.
Is it just all at Teferi?
He's making an overcommitment to the Teferi.
Yeah, you have to. You have to. Yeah.
And finally correct his mistake.
Yeah.
It's only been.
The question is, will it be on time? Oh.
And one over there.
Okay, so he didn't go all in on the.
He's making the whole breacher a 1/1.
Yep.
And by making it a 1/1, I mean it can't attack because you could make a servo to block.
Yeah.
Or just block with
There's an Ornithopter.
What? A 4/4 and waiting.
Yes.
Because it is a Thopter.
Yeah. Sean needs to find that terminus, but now it's not. You can't instant speed it anymore for 6 mana, which is a little awkward.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe Sean has another Teferi. I mean, he has seen a million cards.
Is that Stoneforge?
I don't think so. It was Caracas.
Stoneforge.
I think it's Caracas.
Maybe it's a prismatic ending.
It could be. There are no Stoneforges in this deck.
I didn't think so.
No.
Had me a little confused.
Yeah, I bet.
Torpor.
He's not taking damage.
A little bit of a Nambo with the Torpor.
Yes, indeed. A Nambo. Really? What are we doing with this? This needs to brainstorm. We got to brainstorm with this. We're Fate Sealing?
Fate Sealing?
I don't understand.
Fate Sealing Noah.
I don't get this. There's a fetch.
There's got to be a terminus in hand then.
But now all his reactor spells are live again.
Yeah, I'm really confused. guys at
It's
this.
not like he hasn't been sitting on a force for 11
God,
turns.
I know this is Sean's deck, but I want to go over there again and say, hold on, hold on.
Tag me in.
And we can put Andrew in on the
With the
ninjas.
Ninja Grandmaster.
Yeah.
Hold on, we need to pause the match to say run in and swap both sides.
Sorry, guys, we need to replay this match.
Okay, now Noah, he
Generate.
just letting it go. If he had a counterspell, I think he let it go. I think he let it go, but
Okay,
having
cashing
two
that in.
Retrofitter Foundries,
2, 4, 4.
because there's technically not enough lands in the deck to chain off of one Retrofitter Foundry.
Yeah. Now, Sean has at least a Force of Will in hand. I'm seeing that.
That's 3 down 10.
Dude, the Fate Seal play is just baffling to me in this position. Baffling, to be honest.
Well,
I think maybe he's trying to tempt Noah into
hey,
attacking
look at all
all
this
out.
loyalty. You should attack.
Yeah,
Jace.
but I don't know. And I get he had already seen 2 of the cards with the library, but I don't know. I just don't feel like that was.
So this is a total of 5 in the air, correct?
Yep.
So we could put him to
Typically,
effectively.
Yeah.
It's a 3, but if he has Uro, then he's
Yeah.
not dead in the
Yeah.
air.
Actually, he didn't replay the Euro, which is awkward because he has the mana
He
to
does.
do so. He has the cards and the
Are we
mana.
telegraphing shark?
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. A 5/5
Which also
shark.
makes Noah snuff out slide again, though.
It does. It does.
I think you just commit everything to the Jace.
Go team.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Like, is the Jace really that big of a threat at this point? Not really, but it could. If just like you were saying,
It kind of is. You don't want to
think
let.
about the cards that you could lose to. You could lose because this card makes you find all the cards.
Yeah, exactly.
And it is one of the deck's main win conditions.
Is he sending the big one at Sean and all the small idiots at? Okay, well there's a Kodal.
Okay,
Would have known what it was from Sylvan potentially.
Uh huh.
I don't know if there was a fetching.
Still not a Terminus.
And Sean still has that dress down.
He does.
I'm a little curious. It feels like he's wasted his opportunities with it.
Yeah. Yeah, it really all comes back to that Euro a long time ago, that end step dress down. Assuming Noah doesn't have another removal spell, Euro would have just taken over this game. But, here we are. Whatever happened to Liliana? Oh, it's over there.
Still
Okay.
hanging out.
Okay, it's kind of like way off the screen.
Blocking the Strix.
Why?
Does that mean he has a removal spell as well?
What is going on? Very confused again by these plays here.
Fewer blocks.
Is that swords? That's a swords.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so
Why
the Jace
are-
goes to 1.
Now okay.
But now, okay.
The whole breacher's gone. That's
I
big.
believe it blocked the 4.
It must
It
have.
did.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
But now Liliana just rebuys the Baleful Strix.
Yeah. It seems bad. It seems really, really not good from Sean to. Well, I don't get why we didn't trade with the 4/4. Our Kodal had Death Touch.
I was wondering if, so like we were saying before, had he done the dress down into Euro play, it might not necessarily been able to take over due to the Death Touch on the Strix. Like you'll get your one swing in, and then it would go sit in the graveyard.
That's
So
true.
he
I
had
think
managed to build
what
things
it
up.
comes down to is that block, where he could have used the dress down to block the Strix.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that would have been a better
Yeah.
trick.
So you use basically the dress down as a removal spell.
Like you guys have said, we really just missed the window, and now it doesn't do nearly as much as we'd like it to.
But I'm like, it does feel like this Liliana has minus at least 2, if not 3 times.
Yeah, it's done it a few-
It is
different
minus
things.
3 times.
Okay, so this is
Okay.
gonna hit the.
Could it have? So we would have, if it's already minus 2 or 3 times, we would have been in Zombie Town.
I agree with you on that, but I think he
Did we need to do all the other things to
I
get
think
us there?
this previous term we minused
Mhm.
to go to 1. That was a mistake. We should have just plussed.
Okay,
Get to 4.
well, why are we force pitching when we could have just hard cast force? Is it because we want to leave up the retrofitter
The
activation?
days is lost value. The days
Fair.
is no longer a card that we're considering.
That's fair.
But we can now just untap
Yeah.
and then
Okay, what are we gonna do with this Jace? We still haven't even used the Jace.
that's smart. Noah's doing a very heads up thing. Yeah. And was our force forced? Is that what happened?
I think prismatic force.
Okay, and Euro's coming back to town, and that's huge.
Coming back with the death touch.
Yeah.
Yes, and we're going to gain 3 life to go to 10. We're going to draw another card.
Has Jace been touched yet?
Jace has not done anything yet. Jace has a few interesting modes, for sure. I think it's just got to be Brainstorm, though. Let's just get that Brainstorm.
We'll at least draw, because is that a card in hand?
So
It
Sean
is.
has 1 card in hand.
Oh,
So
nope.
if it is a that's a snuff out.
Ooh, before drawing the card.
Big game. Big game.
This does state that Noah has lethal on board.
Yes, it does.
2 4/4s?
No, it doesn't. We can unsummon with Jace.
Correct. So that's what I'm saying. So he needs to unsummon.
Does the 7 reflect the life?
No, it's 10.
Okay.
So we unsummon a 4/4.
That's a Caracas, which doesn't do anything.
No.
But you feeling lucky?
He can't snuff or he can't rebuy.
Not with the Caracas.
Brainstorm.
Feeling
That
lucky.
is greedy.
Force.
Still had all
Is
these.
Sean going to say how unlucky he is now?
I would.
It's the only
so
way.
Many outs.
It's
So
the only,
unlucky.
it's the only way to do it, man.
If only you'd have played a Yavimaya, that Caracas would have to agree.
Yeah,
I think Koval's list does play Yavimaya.
it makes sense. And they're up on all these lands, and if you're going to play colorless lands, you want to be able to make them relevant. So I kind of like it.
Basic planes into Savannah is pretty good.
Which is really good. Yeah,
Better
if
than
we
when
make
they are
if
just basic.
exactly when we make basic planes cast Euro, that's a pretty
That's
good
actually
move.
really
Both
Those
players
guys know
have
how
2
to.
cards in hand.
Plus, you want different card names for that field of it.
Ooh, what is? We're brainstorming because Noah's like, nope, this Brazen Borrower's coming into play.
3,
So
7,
our
and 10.
unsummon would not have been.
You would be at 1.
Yes.
Oh, I bet it's 3
You
power.
would be at 1. Yep.
It's a pretty good game of Magic, though. I mean, it was a sweet match.
That was a sweet match.
Lots of swings. If we had an advantage bar, we could fluctuate.
It would have definitely. Yet again, I want to go over there and play Bant, but I think. Well, first of all, let's see here. So we got time for probably one more match. Jeremy, are you going to start getting in on the action? You haven't gotten.
Unfortunately, no. I have to take off.
Oh,
but,
bummer.
The good news is that we're going to have these every Sunday
Yes.
here at Galactic. So
You'll
I
get-
think next week I'm definitely going to get myself in the mix.
Nice. Very cool. Very, very cool. So, yeah, that was tight.
Oh, those Leyline Avoids. That is a blunder on my part. I said there were surgicals in the deck.
They're
Those are in
Leylines.
Painter.
Ah,
I don't have a playset of
sure.
surgicals. I only have 3. So I just replaced them with Leylines.
That's fine.
So no, I didn't misplay.
That's fine. Yeah.
What's the other card above it?
Thoughtseize.
Thoughtseize.
Runs a couple Thoughtseizes for disruption.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Noah really brought anything more in. Looks like I would assume he took out 2 pushes. Oh, the Liliana came in as well.
Oh, we're gonna wrap it up.
Yeah,
So it
looks like
sounds
we're
like this is gonna be our last round for today for everybody watching. So thanks a ton for tuning in, and like Jeremy just alluded to a moment ago, we're gonna be doing this every week. We'd love to see you here. Keep supporting us. We really appreciate it, and hopefully next week we'll get more people here. Jeremy already said he's gonna be getting in on the mix, so I'll be one more person. But as we continue to do this, I'm sure we'll
I
get
believe
more show.
our Adam Love.
Adam Love will be here. He's one of our
Resident,
legacy guys.
Death and Taxes.
Yeah, 80 card.
Specialist.
80 card versus 60 card.
Mistake. Yeah. Go 60, please.
But yeah, so yeah,
Definitely
we'll,
appreciate you all watching us today. If you're watching this live on Twitch, please make sure you follow the channel. It's free to do and it helps support us.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you can also find our YouTube page. We try to take our content and have it there. And if that's where you're watching, come over and find our Twitch account.
yes. Thank you very much. We appreciate you all. Have a good rest of your day.
All right, take care, everybody.